Here.
Brent Jackson.
Here.
Mike Radavary.
Here.
Dan Rubino.
Here.
Okay, no one needs to be excused, everyone's here. Okay, first up is Brevard County Sheriff's monthly report. Do we have our nope? Don't have that? Okay, then we have a presentation from Brevard Zoo. Hi.
I'm here. So,
This way, Victoria, this way.
so I was gonna say, oh god, I was a bit weird that I'm used to like seeing your faces. This is gonna be a comedy sketch anyway, so I got told I only have 10 minutes for a 45-minute presentation. So basically, oh, it's still not opening. For some reason, it won't work on this laptop. So basically, I'm here tonight in this 10 minutes to. I feel weird. Do I need to face this way? I mean, I've got a loud enough voice. I don't even need the microphone. Okay, can I turn?
No.
No, I have to face. Okay.
Yeah, so you're presenting to the council.
Okay, I'm presenting you guys. So basically, here's the thing. Brevard Zoo. It was built by volunteers and the community. Quick question. Do you know how long the Indian River Lagoon is? How many miles? 157 miles, just short of it, right? And Brevard County is 70% of that. So basically, the community built the Brevard Zoo, then we got a call to help the lagoon. So this is just quickly, if you click to the next one, it just quickly tells you all the different things that we do. So we rescue manatees that are in the lagoon because of things that are happening at the moment, like issues that we're having with seagrass dying and different things flowing into the lagoon. So not just plastic, so just keep clicking on and I'll carry on, so keep going. In the zoo themselves with conservation, we're saving grasshopper sparrows. And then we've got flatwood salamanders. If you click again, you'll see them climbing in. And again, you can click again for this video. This is a Perdido key beach mice. So this guy, his home's getting destroyed by hurricanes and habitat loss and animals like stealing his home. And then the bees that we have at the zoo, we utilize that honey for the sea turtles. So all the sea turtles that we're saving out in the lagoon, the honey has antibacterial properties. So we actually use the honey on gauze to help heal the wounds. Yeah. And then restore our shores. So I am part of Brevard Zoo, but I'm the conservation department, and we actually are in the lagoon. So we're up and down the county from Cocoa down all the way to Grant, and we have a lot of the community members that are involved. So the community get involved by oyster gardening and clam gardening, and they grow the oysters for us, for example, to put in reefs up and down the lagoon. So does anyone want to have a guess how many gallons one oyster can filter in a day? Oh, that's a lot, yeah. That's good. I like the positivity there. So 50 gallons is just one oyster a day. And we had the community grow over 100,000 oysters for us to put in one of our reefs that we've just built. And that's over 100,000 oysters and 50 gallons, about 5 million gallons a day. Okay, and the whole purpose is they filter that water. So we've just been building multiple reefs up and down the lagoon. If you drive north on US 1 and you look, say, opposite Morgan and Morgan, you might see some white poles sticking out of the water. There are a bunch of reefs there. There's about 20 reefs that we're literally building right now. So if you want to get involved and volunteer, this is for anybody. You can come and join in. You can sign up on the website and you just come up. We drive the boat in the lagoon and you can jump in the water and help us build reefs. If you don't want to get in the water up there, you can help being an oyster gardener. So we have several oyster gardeners and clam gardeners down in Grant. So you can keep clicking now. So this is just a quick thing. The reason why we need to help the lagoon. In the past 50 years, we've had over a 250% population increase. So if you click twice, you'll see the difference. Can you see in the semicircles how much it's increased inland? Okay, so that infrastructure is taking a lot of toll on the lagoon itself. So that's why we're trying to help restore the shores with the clams, the oysters, and the seagrass. So we're planting seagrass. Yeah. And the reason is, so this is what happens. So even when we do things like cut the grass, people are like, yeah, but that's natural. It's just going into the lagoon. It'll dissipate. It'll be fine. The problem is that grass clippings, even if it's not got fertilizer or pesticides, it's going to flow into the lagoon. And it's excess nitrogen and phosphorus. So every time people keep doing that, and the more people that are living here are doing that, even if they don't live by the lagoon, it can flow down the stormwater drains and end up in the lagoon. So if you click like 5 or 6 times, maybe 10, So basically, increase in nutrients, that covers the whole top with algae blooms. Then we get the fish kills, which some of you might have experienced over the last few years. And then that's because of all that dark algae blooms at the top. Seagrass, what does seagrass need to grow? Sunlight, exactly. So it's not getting the sunlight. And then what eats seagrass? Manatees, fish, turtles, that's their habitat. So then they're losing their habitat and food, so that's disappearing. Oxygen's then decreased even more, then we're getting fish kills, and then we're getting a decrease in wildlife, which we also need for the fishing. Yeah? So just click 5 or 6 times. So there's our oyster gardening, clam gardening pictures, mangroves we plant, yeah, and seagrass. And then a new one, buffer zones. So has anyone been to Fisherman's Landing lately? Did you see the flowers all planted there? Yeah, do you like them? Get a thumbs up, yay! Okay, so the whole point of that, we've got one at Geiger Point, Fisherman's Landing, Pineapple Park, and Kelly Park East. Multiple reasons. First of all, they're buffer zones. The whole purpose is to help with stormwater runoff. So on that roadside, especially at Fisherman's Landing, there's quite an incline straight to the lagoon. So whenever there's rain, dirt from cars, oil, pesticides and fertilizers can come off, anything, okay, just flowing into that lagoon. So buffer zones literally help as a buffer. It can stop and infiltrate and even take up some of the nutrients. We try to also be nice to the community, left a little gap so if people still want to kayak, they can fit through the middle. And there's lots of beautiful pollinator plants there too for all the creatures. We're seeing lots of butterflies, birds, bees and everything. And that is also a way to engage and inspire the community to grow their own buffer zones. So you don't even have to live by the lagoon. So like I said, even if you cut your grass clippings can flow down when it rains. It's a stormwater drain. So even if you live inland, building your own little buffer zone in your garden, behind a swale, near a ditch, a dike, or whatever you guys call them here. So it's beneficial either way. Yep, next. We can just click past this one in this video. So also another way to help. If you eat at any of these restaurants, they take part in our program. So some of the reefs we build, we have 2 different types. One has the live oysters that oyster gardeners grow for us off their docks. And we even have buddies. Sorry, I have my accent. Buddy. So they have buddies that help grow them for us. And those oysters go in some of our reefs, like up at Banana River, where we have a lower water flow. But then, say like at Melbourne, or even at Turkey Creek, just up the road, we just built a reef where we take empty oyster shells from these restaurants and we just place them in there. And the whole point is that oysters are gregarious, so they'll float along and they'll find other shells and attach. So we did that Turkey Creek oyster reef in October, and by January, February time, UCF came out to monitor it, and the estimation was that at least 2 million baby spat have attached. So that's natural recruitment. And there's probably more now, like since then. That was January, February. So natural recruitment of oysters is already happening. I'm literally tomorrow picking some oysters up in Grant from a lady who has requested extra shell because she was just growing them from empty shells sat in her habitats, and they've already expanded out of their habitats, so we're having to take in more habitats, and then we're taking those oysters to a reef. Yeah, next one. And then that's just a few pictures of us, like when we're out monitoring or we're out on the barge. Some people even help grant all of these. So all of this is a not-for-profit. It's all from grant funding, like the Indian River Lagoon National Estuary Program funded the Fisherman's Landing project. If you haven't seen it, definitely go. It's beautiful around that picnic area in the Benson House. And then other things are funded by the Sorrel half-cent sales tax. So none of this would be able to happen. And I will say, people that have grown up here from when they were tiny, or they were born here, they said that they saw how much the lagoon deteriorated over time. But they said over the last few years, they've actually seen increase of natural seagrass flowing, seeing the oyster spat floating along and growing and attaching to oysters. So it's good. It's usually like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, multiple reasons of why we have to keep going. Yeah, and that's one of our clams. That's actually in Grant somewhere. Don't be going hunting for them though. They're supposed to be filtering, but if you quickly press on it, it might try and play. We tried to film these guys when we released them, but they were too quick. They buried themselves. You can see all the little divots where they sunk down and were ready to go to their forever home. So there's a bunch in Grant. They're there to filter, not to eat. Just saying. All right, yeah, next. Yeah, we even have clam gardeners that are very precious and protective of their clams. Like when fishermen are walking by, they're like, we need the poles up. They need to know where they are. They can't stand on them. So yeah, and then this is what part of our seagrass nursery. So we've got a lot of seagrass planted, and you can click on that. It's a quick video. And that's really successful at the moment. We've just got flowers on our seagrass, which is a very big thing.
Where is that?
That is at the hub site. It's literally probably about exactly in line with here, but on the, what do you call it, island? Yeah, like it's at Hub SeaWorld. It's SeaWorld's hub site, which is on A1A. So it's kind of directly opposite us here. And yeah, they have their own stuff going on there, but we also have our seagrass planting there, and we replant it. We were there the other day, and I will say, funny story, we had the most Florida day. A shark swam right by, a bull shark, and then I'm like, oh, what's this? I'm like, oh, a C-130, and there's loads of people jumping out of it, and the skydivers are practicing, and then I'm like, I can just feel this rocket, like I can feel it, you know, when it vibrates, and I look up, and there's a rocket going up, and I was just like, wow, this is the most Florida day, I love it. And then mangroves. So you'll see mangroves along the lagoon. We had a project on that. At the moment, we don't have the funding with that, but we still have a bunch of mangroves. If you ever go to the zoo and you want some, just let us know, and we can give them out for you if you want to plant some mangroves. And we also do bird island monitoring. So just near Geiger Point, there's a tiny little bird island that's protected with lots of protected species. And we also have some shorebirds that we're trying to protect. So things like least terns. We literally just rescued, at the moment, because their habitat's getting destroyed, and I don't think they're the fun as much as tourists, so they started to nest on rooftops. So we actually have one at U-Haul on Babcock and Palm Bay Road. So there was 3 that jumped, and we had to catch them. We have this little special boom box that we put them in and lift them up. Oh, was that one 10 minutes? I'm nearly done. All right, and we lift them up and we put them up on the roof. Yep. And this is our buffer zone, so you can click through. So it just kind of tells you the benefits. Limits stormwater runoff, reduces erosion, great for habitat food and shelter for the wildlife. And it's less watering. So if you want to do your own buffer zones, I can chat to you at the end. There's things like ground cover. You can have frog fruit, sunshine mimosa instead of grass. So there's lots of options to help your yard. Yep. And then other ways to live lagoon friendly, just quickly. So if you wash your car, do it on the grass because then it'll soak into it. Or do it at a car wash because they legally have to get rid of it correctly. Rain barrels are a great way to gradually get rid of that water and water your plants when needed. Pick up your dog mess because that can end up in the lagoon. And then fertilizer at the moment is banned between June and September. Not everybody always knows that. And try not to use pesticides. Cutting the grass, either let it sink in and be natural nutrients or compost, and then septic to sewer is the thing at the moment. And then last of all, the buffer zones. So if you plant Florida natives, less to water once they're established, and they look pretty, and it's great for nature and biz. Awesome. Oh yeah, and if you ever want to volunteer, it's the last thing. So we're going to be building an aquarium up near Coco if you want to go there, and there's lots of volunteer opportunities, or if you want to be an oyster gardener, or if you want to be a clam gardener, or plant seagrass with us in the lagoon, you are more than welcome to just sign up and see us out there. Yeah. Thanks. If you've got any questions, let me know.
Got a question. So, do you know that the Palm Bay is pumping raw sewage into the Turkey Creek right now at a massive scale?
She knows that. You don't have to answer. It's okay.
And the New Yorkers are digging up them clams and eating them. Yeah, they are.
Thank you, Tori. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's got such enthusiasm.
There's so much to do out there. We've got to help, so, you know.
But we're so happy to have you.
Yes.
Yes, contact Tori if you want to help.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the Veterans Memorial Park.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lois McManus representing GVCA, which is a volunteer organization. I'm providing you with a monthly update on the Veterans Memorial Park. We've recently received donations from the Old Fish House and Cheney Brothers. The mason has finished the block work. So next we will have Classic Kitchens come in and create templates for the granite work. Following up after that will be the concrete and the handicap railing. The flagpole sleeves will be installed during the finishing of the concrete work tomorrow. Veterans bricks should arrive within the next 2 weeks. And we will also start the educational area probably in July or August. And everything seems to be rolling on just very nicely for us. Anyone wishing to purchase a commemorative brick for the installation before the ribbon cutting ceremony must place their order by August 15th. And in the meantime, we'll continue to sell bricks, t-shirts, electric bicycle tickets, golf ball drop tickets, and prepare for the 6th annual Sandhill Scramble Golf Tournament, which is October 25th. We'd like to thank everybody for their continued support, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank
And
you.
what about the statues? Can we hear about those?
Thank you, Lois.
You're welcome.
Chinese statues, can I speak on the statues?
No, sir, no.
Okay,
no.
not allowed to.
No, we have.
Chinese statues
When you
dishonor the
have-
veterans.
Ned, when you have public comments,
Okay.
you can talk about it.
Okay,
Right now, we're
that's
doing
fine.
presentations
Fine.
and we're doing our business.
All right.
Okay? Okay, any changes to the agenda? No? Okay. All right, first public hearing. This is the second and final reading of ordinance number 2025-01, as advertised in Florida today on May 27th, 2025. An ordinance of the town of Grant, Valkaria, Brevard County, Florida, amending Article 6, Division 26-4, Subdivision 26-4-6 of the Land Development Regulations for the town of Grant, Valkaria, amending Section 2014-81, BU1A zoning district, amending Section 2014-82, BU1 zoning district, amending Section 2014-83, BU2 zoning district, amending Section 2019-23, Article 6, Division 20-6-5, Subdivision 20-6-5-3 of the town's land development regulations relating to convenience store regulations where properly zoned, providing for severability, conflict, codification, and an effective date. Jason?
So this is the second and final reading of ordinance number 2025-01, which removes or reclassifies certain uses from the BU1A zoning classification. This ordinance was heard by our local planning agency on March 24th, 2025, and they unanimously recommended approval. We currently have that moratorium going, and that allowed us the time to actually remove some of the stuff that was discussed during the workshop on that. For example, the convenience store being one of them that they removed out of that zoning classification and relocated it in the heavier classifications.
Okay, council? Any comments on that?
No, this doesn't remove convenience stores and gas stations from the BU1 zoning. So that's what the whole thing was about, and now this is the finalization of that.
And it removed it from BU1A, but left them in BU1 and BU1 too.
It did
With certain conditions, right. They're conditional uses, they're not allowable uses, right? Right. And that, they were always in there in BU1 and BU2 anyway. Okay. So it's just that in BU1A, it didn't seem appropriate to have convenience stores with or without gas stations. All right, anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? Yes, sir, come on up.
So is this approval of the gas station or
Hold on a minute,
denial?
state your name.
I'm Robert William, House of Crow.
Okay, your question is?
Is this for or against the gas station?
Well,
Your position?
yeah, it was never, a gas station was never in the works, but what this does is, does not allow convenience stores with or without gas pumps in the BU1A zoning. That's what it does.
So are you rezoning it to allow it?
No, we're removing the use
You're
from.
you're nixing it altogether?
Yes,
Perfect.
well, from the BU1A zoning, it still will be allowed in higher intensity commercial zonings if we have them in town. But in that particular, anywhere there's a BU1A zoning, which is classified as a very low intensity commercial, things like doctor's offices, barber shops, beauty parlors, things like that. We had convenience stores with or without gas stations in that zoning. But in looking at it, it wasn't appropriate because it's too intense for that zoning. So we're taking it out.
Perfect.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank Thank you. Yes, anybody else? Ned?
Sure. So you said that there was never gonna be a gas station, but there definitely was gonna be a gas station, and I guess this GVCA thing actually does work hand in hand with developers trying to do what they do. They wanna turn this place into an unlivable nightmare. Basically, I don't really know what this vote means or what the substance is to it. I guess it's stopping the gas station, the convenience store thing, but then you're gonna keep going on trying to romance these developers and bring them into the town and sell it off one by one. Why would there ever even be a controversy? I mean, how can an agricultural property be moved over to commercial in the first place? It makes no sense to anybody, I don't think. I mean, it's not Fifth Avenue out there, it's a 2-lane country road. And I think the end goal of what you guys are trying to do is make a commercial corridor along Babcock and raise some more money. And, it's okay for a commercial, agricultural based business to practice their craft out there. It's an agricultural zone, but certainly not to develop it into a city, I don't think. But that's my 2 cents. I try to interpret all these crazy words, but I'm just a caveman,
Thank you,
my
Ned.
mind can't wrap around that.
Pat?
Yes, Pat Bryan, formerly of 5895 Pine Step Avenue, now a Nomad. First-time listener, long-time listener, first-time caller. As far as what the gentleman here was talking about, when we incorporated, when we were going for this, there were people on Babcock who knew Babcock was going to be 4-laned, who knew Babcock was going to be highly intensively commercially zoned, at least for the first section of lots along Babcock. I was part, as you know, of the corporation effort. I had people calling me that lived along Babcock wanting to be reassured that their residential or agricultural zoning, once Babcock became highly commercialized, which we have no control over, the state and Palm Bay and Emerald City are controlling what's happening to Babcock, not this town. But they knew it was coming, and they wanted to be assured that they would be able to change their zoning to commercial, at least along that front row of lots directly abutting Babcock. So they could sell, because they're not going to want to live there once it's 4-laned and highly intensive and across the street of Palm Bay, God knows what's going to be. So they wanted to be able to sell at least that portion of their property and rezone it to commercial, so they wouldn't be stuck with a piece of property they didn't want to live on and couldn't sell as commercial property. So no, this town does not court developers. This town is not looking to sell off the town piece by piece. This town, for the last almost 20 years, most of these people up here, these people here, myself, other people in the audience, fought hard for this town to control its own destiny. We knew commercial was coming on Babcock. We planned for commercial coming on Babcock. And what you've done, taking us out of the low-intensity business zonings, moving into the higher business zoning, fits along that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, anyone else? All right, back to council. You want to make a motion? All right, a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All right.
It will be roll call vote.
Okay, all right, please call roll.
Dan Urbino.
Yes.
Mike Radaveric.
Yes.
Brent Jackson.
Yes.
Dan Madden. Rick Hood.
Yes.
Tom Salmon.
Yes.
Lizette Kohler.
Yes. Okay. Motion passes. We're done with that. All right. Next, public hearing is a resolution 11-2025. Is advertised on Brevard County's website on May 27th. Individual notices mailed on May 8th, 2025. A resolution of the town of Grant, Valkaria, Brevard County, Florida, vacating and abandoning certain right-of-ways or portions thereof located in the Highland Park plat, vacating and abandoning certain right-of-ways or portions thereof located in the South Grant plat, vacating and abandoning certain right-of-ways or portions thereof located in sections 13, 34, 35, 36, Township 29 South, Range 37 East, and Section 34, Township 29 South, Range 38 East, Brevard County, Florida. All is more particularly shown and described in Exhibits A, A1, B, B1, C, C1, D, and D1, providing for conflict and providing for an effective date. Jason?
This is the second round of right-of-way vacates that were previously discussed during a council workshop on July 17th, 2024. Vacating these right-of-ways does not prevent any landowners from accessing their properties. It will eliminate unnecessary right-of-ways that were previously platted prior to the incorporation, allowing to better regulate the location of future roadways. Now, I'll pull up some maps. I've had a lot of residents have come in and on the southern portion below Grant Road. And then I'll get to where, during the workshop, into these exhibits. Now, this, before Mayor Yance passed, he had a major concern that seeing that Palm Bay is building out all these homes. You know, you look at the Emerald Lakes concept, at the number of homes. They got 2559 multifamily homes, 1141 single-family developments, and they're all bringing us here on the bottom part of this. Now, this property over here is Eels land. Over here, and then up here is the town of Grant, Valkaria, and this is Palm Bay.
Where are you pointing at? See your
Oh,
pointer.
I'm sorry. Right here. It's just right here, so you got the interchange, yeah, this is 95 here, and then you got the interchange right here. So Palm Bay is proposing building all this extra homes and multifamily in this area, in the striped area. So the main concern from Mayor Yance, we pull up another maps. So on this one here, this portion that's at the bottom, this is the one I was just showing you with all the multifamily homes. And these are, this is Palm Bay below the yellow line. So this portion here are right-of-ways that are going from Palm Bay to Grant Road. So the reasoning behind wanting to vacate portions of these right-of-ways is to stop Palm Bay's ability to ever connect to Grant Road. Now, currently with this council, the attorney, we're not a,
Please be quiet.
so Palm Bay is not allowed to connect to our roadways without council approval. This council that we have seated here now would not ever approve this. The council in 10 years, 20 years, we don't know what they're going to do, what their intentions would be, because the times are changing with these new people coming to town. So this is for protection in the future, not currently on it. So we pull up the exhibit, I'm going to pull up Exhibit C. Exhibit C, so this is, let me pull up another one. So this is looking at that section now. Now the Exhibit C is going to show starting left from right, from top to bottom, just the bottom sections of this. Each one of these green squares is Eels property. Everything that's green is Eels property on this. Now, the concern that has been brought to the attention since we've done this is parts of the, typically when we vacate a right-of-way, we vacate all sides of it to keep a road from on it. There is a heavily used trail that goes along the south side of this portion of the properties. So the vacating of the bottom lines, Rick has brought it to my attention, there's possibly a different way to continue forward with it, and then without blocking that section. So let me go pull up another exhibit, which, so this is starting left to right.
Okay, because of the public that I've heard from and so forth, I know there's a lot of concern regarding the very southern right-of-way on the east-west. Like Jason said, the main purpose of this whole thing was to block any potential for Palm Bay to come into Grand Valkaria via, Grant Road. We could, and I would, based on the public that I've heard from and read quite a bit online, getting rid of the misinformation, the rest of it basically fell out that, they're against it. There's an existing trail through there. It's very well used, and they would like to, maintain that. First of all, this had nothing to do with Eels other than Eels has property there, as well as private landowners. But what I would suggest is, because of the public's, I would suggest that we eliminate the east-west right-of-way vacates. Just don't do those, anything to the east-west, and that's where the main trail is at. On the north-south vacates, we vacate only 25 feet of each of the existing right-of-ways. The reason behind that is to build a roadway, you need a 50-foot right-of-way. You can't do it at 25 feet, but we're prepared to do an ordinance. We've discussed it in other meetings to allow driveway access in the future if roads from Grant Road are ever extended far enough that you could put a driveway and build down there. You could build a driveway however long from the most northern part of the 25-foot the whole way over to your lot. So my recommendation for the council to consider would be to eliminate, at this time, eliminate vacating anything shown on C and C1 and bring that back with the correct legals to just vacate the north-south, 25 feet of the north-south portion and leave the entirety of the east-west southern portion. It'll require a change to your title, but if we eliminate C, and C1 is the legal description of all those vacates, if we eliminate them from this resolution, then the vacates that are within plats that we have had requests from the property owners could at least go forward. And then we could bring this back showing only 25 feet of the north-south and not do the southern portion.
Would this prevent what the mayor was concerned about?
Well,
They couldn't go any.
the only thing, okay, it will prevent them and as far as they won't have enough right-of-way to build a road. However, Chase, do you mind if I go up to the screen? It'd be easier to point it out. Jason, the green dot seals?
Yes.
Alright, so if Palm Bay decided they wanted to bring a road through, there's only a 25-foot right-of-way. They can't build a road there. There's nothing stopping them from going to this property owner and buying that parcel and then dedicating 25 more feet. Something we can't stop. By doing this, we felt we had as much control as we possibly could. But I think it's a long shot that any of these property owners would sell, but it's I mean, the potential is there.
Somebody comes along with money talks.
Palm Bay would offer a lot of money.
Right, but like I say, today it would leave 25 feet, which would be allowed enough to build your road to here from Grant Road, and then a driveway access into their property, or a case like this, they come in and he can build his driveway into his property. But it's not the best we felt, when the mayor, I was working with the mayor quite a bit, and it was the best that we could come up with to still allow everyone who owns an individual lot access to their property and does as best we can to prevent Palm Bay from, putting a road through. We had vacated everything, up here, because the Eels had it on both sides, we were vacating everything. Might be a better idea just to go with 25 feet. That way it allows the access, and Eels, I don't think is gonna sell to a developer anyway, so.
Is this due to?
Oh,
the-
sir, right now we're at the council, we'll give it a chance. Keep your question in mind and we'll come back to you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But the whole idea and the whole concept was strictly of a fear of Palm Bay, a Palm Bay developer coming in saying, we want to build a road.
But
Today-
we would have to
Today,
give
I
you.
think the council would say no.
Right.
But 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we don't know what the council up here is going to be. Who's going to be sitting here? They may love developers and they want to develop everything, and they say, sure, build a road. Now we can build more houses. So it was the best attempt we could come up with to prevent that.
Hey, Rick, can I ask you a couple questions? East-west, there is no other way that they can build roads east-west. So you decided let's just leave that. Your thought is, I just want to make sure there's nothing that we didn't think about with when it came to a potential for them to get it another way.
Is there another way for them to
Yeah,
get
that's
out?
what I was
That's what I'm
As long
asking.
as we take care of the north-south.
Okay.
Are you done? As long as we take care of the north-south, then this east-west is actually meaningless as far as building a road.
I
It
have
was part of the original plat back in whenever,
Yeah.
19 whatever.
Yeah.
But they, the trail's in there, and if you look at it, the trail's pretty close to being completely in the right of way.
That's the very.
And, yeah, and, I personally had no objection to pulling any of the vacate out of the east-west and just do the best we can to protect north-south from someone trying to,
The
come
other-
in from Palm Bay.
the other thought about the north-south too, which I was thinking, if you have an owner that would potentially be willing to sell down the road to a developer, could we extend that 25-foot right of way to multiple properties? And then there'd have to be multiple people that would have to sell to. Do you know what I'm saying? To give
Yeah.
that 25-foot right of way, that would help our cause.
Obviously, you can take that 25 feet as far as you wanted.
Right.
The only thing is, now, you're gonna have to allow an ordinance to have a driveway type access to a lot down here, where normally they would have to build the road.
Right.
Now, you can have it anywhere you want it, but all it's doing is allowing you more access by driveway. And I can tell you from experience, we already have one in town that the county allowed, has about 4 houses on it, all driveways. And when I was your administrator, I was bombarded with calls, why aren't we maintaining that road?
It's not a road.
It wasn't a road. Never was a road, never was built as a road, it's driveways. And it just gets into a problem in the future, so we tried to keep it, I think we came up here to the, everything but the north 100 feet, which then would require at least a dirt road to that point, and then driveways can come off of that.
Is there a section, Rick, that is all owned, all the lots are owned by Eels?
Yeah, there's a couple sections, I think, Jason, you can go back to that. One that showed, with the eels on it.
Too bad Ailes doesn't buy those few lots. Why don't we buy it?
Yeah, right there.
Here,
They're on the
here.
side.
Yeah.
So if, I don't know where the folks that ride out there, would they object to going east and west on that, on where all, it's just all Eels property?
Yeah, that's where they are objected on that one. This is, if you see the roadway, it comes down and crosses through here.
That's the roadway.
Okay, what about the other, at the other end though?
At the other side, on the other side of 95, I
Right there.
haven't had anybody reach out with
Well,
concern.
then why can't we, well, you know, was he concerned? Yeah, that's where Palm Bay could come in too also.
Well, the threat wasn't as bad on that side because you got Babcock Street already cutting through on that side of 95.
Yeah.
So on this side, they were, you know, if you can cut here, you can go right to Grant Road, down to US 1, cut out Micco. So that was the scare on that one.
I was just wondering if we could, you know, go east-west where it's all eels and the folks aren't using it, and, you know, as much as we can.
Well, I think if you eliminate anything going north-south, you're protected.
Okay. And we can't eliminate the whole 50 feet because then they can't have the driveways.
Yeah,
Right,
if,
okay.
if you do all 50 feet, which is what that actually shows today, then, you know, you can't come down here even with a
Right.
driveway.
And that's the only way to access those lots.
So what I would
Yeah.
suggest is, like I say, eliminating
Okay.
C and C1, which eliminates that section entirely from this resolution. And then make all of the north-south ones 25. We'll redo the legals, redo the drawings, so that the north-south is only 25 feet remaining. And that's probably the best we can do to prevent future growth to the alley.
Rick, let me ask you, Berry Green, is that entirely in Palm Bay, or is that entirely in
Grant Valkaria. All in Grant Valkaria.
I feel sorry for those property owners when 3,300 more houses, and Route 1 Motorsports makes $1 million off of all the four-wheelers that are gonna be running Berry Green. You know, I mean, that's something to concern yourself with. You know, there's gonna be no stopping that.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of new people
Yes.
down there.
Because when they build
That's, like I say, that's based on what I've read online, what I've heard, and so forth, that I think that would satisfy people the most if we just take that out for now, move forward with the other
The north-south.
vacates, and come back to that with another proposal. That proposal's just one I came up with.
Could we, in the future, vacate that?
Come back and
Come back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bring it back at a later time, try to figure out a way that still allows the people their access on the trail, but makes it as difficult as possible for Palm Bay to
It's
connect.
not a real trail, it's just.
It's a right of way.
Right of way.
It's a right-of-way that they have a trail in.
Yes, it's not a real trail.
They're riding ATVs and we're not gonna stop it, and I'm not here to stop it, so, you know, they're staying on that trail. If you pull up, do you have a, good aerial?
Google. Yeah, anytime in the future, if
I
we
mean,
see,
you can see it's a used trail.
yeah, but
and
if
it's,
we see Palm Bay starting to develop there, then we can come back and try to do
Vacate that
something.
whole thing, because we don't want Palm Bay.
But for now,
yeah, I mean, instead of where, you know, all over the place, they're staying within the trail. It wouldn't be that well defined if it wasn't, which I think is, you know, that's great.
yeah, it's great.
You know, those 3,000 multifamily people might not like it, but, you know, they shouldn't have,
Against the wall, rather than stay.
it's a right of way.
Right away. Although,
Why?
Not all trails are within the right of ways.
all right, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Rick for right now, because number one, we're doing strategic moves for the future. This is not critical to us at all right now, and we will see development, we'll see building, we can act later. So, right now, I agree with Rick 100%. We've had letters of support for using the trail. The ATVs are using the trail, that's great. They're staying out of, like you say, you're not going up through the eels and cutting, which vacating may create more problems. And for the time being, I think it's a good solution. It's a proactive, strategic move. It's nothing that's going to happen in our near future, I can guarantee you. But when we start seeing development coming up,
We can start doing.
it might be an issue because Palm Bay might use that thing. But right now, It's inside our town. I agree with Rick. Look at just the north only, leave the trail for the ATV people. They've been respectful. We're getting along good with everything. And they're having fun and we're doing what we need to. So I say, look at Rick's proposal would be my suggestion.
There is one other, somehow it got missed, and I'll take the blame because she had, Jessica had me proofread this. But in the title, let's see, can you go back to the title of the resolution, Jason? Okay. So what I'm suggesting is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In the 8th line where it starts out with sections 13, 34, 35, 36, that we would scratch 34, well, make it section instead of plural, and then scratch 34, 35, and 36. That's all of that on the south end of town. The next line would be, and sections 34, 18, and that is the one on Valley Road. Somehow I missed that when I proofed it. And then on the third from the last line, you would scratch C and C1, which is the legal description and the map of the southern portion. Therefore, we're not touching that section, not calling it out in the resolution at all, taking it out of the resolution, the exhibits, and the way public can be assured that it's not being tampered with at this point. And then if we see development down there, or we hear interest from developers or something like that, then we can bring it back up at that time. And
Brent, you have any?
As long as we can go back and do away with it in the future, I'm okay with it, as long as we don't.
yeah, this resolution wouldn't prohibit you from going back any time in the future. Like I say, I agree with Dan.
As soon as we see some
You know,
development,
if we see development,
as soon as we see
and,
development, I want that closed off.
yeah, or if we hear interest from developers, then we can definitely bring it back up. But, you know, this would not have any bearing on bringing it up in
We
the
got enough
future.
invasion into our town from that side, we don't need any more.
Okay, let's open it up to, if everyone has commented, open it up to you all. Yes, Ned?
So is Eels like some kind of Superman or Mighty Mouse or underdog or something that's gonna go in and save the day and kick everybody off of that trail, so to speak, so that they can't access their own land or something like that? Because I've heard a lot of horror stories, and the woman was specifically terrorized by a letter that you guys sent that said that she can't access her own property anymore because you wanna take her property and give it away to this Eels thing, and so she can't access her own land. And that sounds exactly like what Joseph Stalin did when he took the kulaks farms away and started giving it all back to the government so they couldn't access their own land or live there because, you know, that's what communism is. So ATVs are a way of life here in Grant, and people
a little
want
more
access
research
to
before
land.
you come and talk to us, because that is way off base. Just look at the Eels and then come back and talk to us, okay?
There's a lot of bad things going on with the Eels. I've heard from individuals, and yes, I do have a lot of research. I talk to people. I spend a hell of a lot of time ever since you guys started this crap with the gas station. I've been devoting a lot of my time. I even ran for that seat that he's sitting in over there, but you blocked me. And then I've been harassed and by your GVCA people plenty. So I put a lot of time into this. So you can call me an idiot all you want to. This town council just keeps coming up with the most absurd ordinances, impingements, regulations, and other nonsense, and it's become a nuisance to the people. And people have a right to access their own land. This is the United States, not Russia.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please state your name.
My name is Robert.
Robert.
Robert William of the House of Crow. So I have a question before I read my statement. So it seems a lot of fear-based as far as Palm Bay invading and building. How is that possible if we're the town of Grant Valkaria? Is it because of the incorporation?
No, it's, well, the fear is that they will use our roads, just use our roads. They can't really have, you know.
What road? There isn't a road there.
I'm saying if they can build one.
It's a right.
Without your permission?
No, but we're saying someday in the future, the council that's up here they think it's a good idea.
So Palm Bay, you're saying Palm Bay could potentially just come in and
With-
bypass or
with the
pay
council-
off or whatever
with
to
the-
make it happen?
With the council's permission, they could attach one of their roads to our road, and then there'll be a path from Palm Bay all the way to Grant Road, through roads that are small and have very few homes on them. Right, so it won't be through a thoroughfare. It won't be like through Corey or Weber or Grant or Valkaria. It'll be through these small roads that have one or two homes on them.
And I understand your concern, and I appreciate that concern. I think one of the problems of that being able to happen is through the incorporation. And I know a lot of people like the incorporation. I don't see why. I mean, we don't get water from them. We don't get sewer from them. What do we get from them? It doesn't make any sense to me.
We incorporated so that we could control our own destiny, so that we can keep our 1.25 acre lots at minimum, and so we can control our zoning, so that the county couldn't come in here and put apartments up on Grant Road or Valkaria Road, or Palm Bay wouldn't come in and buy some property, and they've already got water lines coming up Valkaria Road, because they thought they were going to get Eagle Crest at one time. So they've already got water lines coming up to them. They could just extend them and keep buying the property. That was the purpose of incorporation, not to get sewer and water, because we didn't want sewer and water.
Right.
Could I?
Wait a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. To add to that, the reason incorporation, in the Brevard County, the high-density residential zoning allows 30 units an acre, otherwise high-rise condos and so forth. Our current high-density residential, and it's only in a very specific area that it already exists in, is 4 units per acre. That's what they wanted to control. They wanted to make sure you didn't have condos lining the river and, overdeveloped like Palm Bay, quarter-acre lots, all those kind of things. So that was one of the main reasons that they wanted the incorporation. Palm Bay already annexed on the east side of Babcock several lots, key intersections, Grant Road being one, Valkaria Road being another. Can't even think. There's a couple more on Babcock that Palm Bay already annexed before they became a Grant Valkaria. So they saw Palm Bay trying to march eastward. They put a stop to it by incorporating.
Okay.
Because the county was more than happy to get all this property off of their books.
Yeah.
And they were more than happy to give it to Palm Bay, to let Palm Bay annex it. That's why we became a town, but to prevent that from happening. Because the county, this was a drag on their budget. They were more than happy to let it go right to Palm Bay, and that's why we stopped it.
Okay.
You've seen Palm Bay annex land all the way down to C-54 Canal. That's all Palm Bay.
On that side of
On that
Babcock.
side of the road, the other side already.
No, on both sides. On both sides.
It's all both sides. But now they're trying to come in. If we hadn't incorporated, they would come into this town. What you're worried about, a gas station, any place they wanted to build a commercial building, they'd have put it. And they wouldn't care whether or not you wanted it or not. Of course, that would be Palm Bay.
See, I have a problem with that because, under, like Ned was saying, we live in America and we have rights. And that's kind of what my objection to this easement is. And going by with what you're saying, I'm going to have to rethink it. I'm going to read my objection regardless to have it on the record, please. So, good evening, Mayor, council members, and fellow inhabitants. My name is Robert William of the House Crow, and I appear tonight both as a local inhabitant and trustee of a land trust that is directly affected by recent developments proposed by this administration. I rise to object respectfully but firmly to the proposed donation or abandonment of a public easement to the environmentally endangered ledge program. This easement is critical for lawful access to private property. Yet this proposed action has not been brought before the community transparently, in my opinion. Any attempt to transfer public land without the consent of those directly affected is a clear violation of due process, Article 10, Section 6 of the Florida Constitution, and the consent of the governed as declared in our founding documents. Government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. That consent has not been given here, yet, depending on how it goes, I guess. To that end, I've submitted a formal public records request, a notice of adverse claim, and a cease and desist notice, all now part of the public record. I respectfully ask that the town immediately halt all proceedings regarding this easement until this matter is lawfully addressed and brought before a vote of the people. Acting under color of law without the people's input violates Article 1, Section 1 of the Florida Constitution, which vests all political power in the people. Thank you for your time, for hearing the will of people that you serve, and upholding the public trust. Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick. Just want to make sure you understood what we were discussing, that what Rick's proposal was. So we're not taking any access away. Did you understand?
I hear what your mouth's saying, but I apologize for me saying this, but I don't necessarily believe bureaucrats. And so I see what you're saying now, and that sounds great on paper for now, until later. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so this body's gone, and so now they have a new change. So if we can just nix it right away, the easements have been in place for over 20 years, which is by Florida statute, law, whatever, grandfathered in. So to change anything on that, and to think that some other Palm Bay or somebody else is going to come and make a road without the ability for you to say yes, that doesn't make sense. You know, so it's up to you as the government of our town, right, to keep that from happening. So based on the will of the people, right, the consent of the governed. When you say, hey, we're thinking about doing this, like you brought it up, and Rick was saying, hey, we'll just make it smaller so they can't do anything, that's great. That's a solution potentially.
And that's why we have public hearings, right?
And
So that you can
that's
come
what these are for.
so what you can come and tell us your thoughts and your concerns, and we, Rick thought about it and he has a solution. We are doing it as we're supposed to, right? We don't have to get the vote of the people. We have an open meeting. You guys are.
You do have to get the vote
Not
of
a
the people.
vote, not a vote. We have them here in an open meeting.
I would challenge you on that.
No, we are we are elected and represented.
You're elected?
I was elected for 4 years, okay, as a council member, Rick seat. When the mayor passed away, the council legally appointed me as according to our
So the
charter.
council appointed you and not the people, correct?
That's correct.
So I think that's the problem we have in a lot of government bureaucracy.
Listen, this is an advertised resolution, we need to keep the
Right, we're off
discussion on
topic,
the
we're off
resolution.
topic. Okay. Yes, all right, hold on a minute. I think I see, sorry, you first. Okay, come on.
And I would ask council if they're gonna respond back and forth with the speaker, give them their 5 minutes to talk first, and then after they're done talking, that way we can control the meeting.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Matthew Kelly, 380 Grant Road. I own 21 properties in Grant. I'm a beekeeper. I have 4 properties along Berry Grade, and I use them for apiaries for bees. I'm a registered beekeeper. I'm inspected by the Florida Department of Agriculture. I would like to support the idea of completely scrapping all the proposals on Exhibit C. Because it would, obviously, we've been using this here, the Berry Grade Trail, since about 1985. The proposal about scrapping it completely right now is great. If it ever gets brought back up in the future, there could be a problem with keeping it for the north-south trail because the trailhead does enter. Here's Medjewel Road, my first apiary, and then mostly this trail here follows the north-south right away down here to the Buried Grade Trail right away. So that could be an issue if this ever gets brought up. I hope we just completely scrap Exhibit C. So I understand what town council's trying to do. A lot of us bought our properties back there years ago. Maybe someday they'll get developed, maybe they won't. It feels a little bit unfair because when we purchased this property, we knew that this right of way was here, and now years later, y'all are talking about taking this right of way away. So another issue, I would like to remind the city council, I was one of the first volunteers back at the meeting on July 1, 2021, when Miss Janet Metz proposed to me after the meeting about getting together with landowners and trying to solve the problem with all the ATVs going off the trail. And I volunteered with the other landowners. I got some other people involved, and I think we did a really great job. If you look at the aerial photos now and the aerial photos of the area 5 years ago, there's a world of difference. In a public information request, even EEL, in some of their conversations, is talking about the change and how low impact the use of the ATVs is. I don't think EEL understands why, but we've really made a difference. And this is why, when we have non-vegetative trails, like the Buried Grade Trail, we need to keep them open. If we close this down and we have landowners trying to get access to their properties off of non-vegetative trail, it creates a real problem with people driving ATVs over grass and not staying on the trail. Okay? There's another issue, and that is, in the future, I think that there are problems if we're going to vacate right-of-ways only along EEL properties and not keeping things uniform. Because, as you know, the Florida statute gives that vacated land where that right-of-way used to be, it gives it to the adjacent property owners. EEL has a terrible reputation with trying to block the road, trying to keep us off of our properties. So I think that this is something to be aware of. We have the priority acquisition areas that was given to us in a public records request, and EEL is saying, hey, here's the property we acquired, here's the property we want. And when you guys do these vacates that alongside of a state property, that property just gets given to EEL, and that's our road. As a conflict of interest, if y'all shut down our access to get to our properties and give it to the very people who want to acquire this piece of property, that's a huge conflict of interest. So, okay? Okay, thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
thank you. Don't forget to state your name.
Hey, my name's Greg Batchlupo. Yeah, just to kind of go over some stuff with you. So, vacate, what does that mean exactly? Are you gonna, when they vacate the right of way, would that be donating that land to EELs?
It's not donating it, it's not our right of way anymore, so it goes to the adjacent property.
The adjacent properties would be
If some of them are EEL, some of them would be.
Some are
landowners?
private.
Or?
Yeah, some are private
Some are
landowners.
private, so they get it too.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, EELs is a great program, don't get me wrong, but my experience in Grant with EELs is not too good. I've seen kind of some of what they did out there. They burned a huge section of land out there at one point to kind of, separate out, and then they put a fence up on one area and basically ran people off that land. And there's mixed parcels in that whole area, and they ran people kind of out of that whole area. It was my understanding that there were scrub jays and turtles there or something like that, but people that were staying on the trails, they still ran them out of there. I mean, I personally got run out of there at one point. I had a guy chase me down in a truck, and he was like, hey, you can't be here. I'm like, okay, I'll leave. No problem.
We need to stay on the topic of the right-of-ways.
Well, he's talking about right-of-ways, but these
Yeah.
specific right-of-ways, let's talk about.
Just, I'm talking about
specific-
Eels and donating, the land, vacating, I was trying to
So
understand.
that strip of,
Yeah.
that we're talking about right now, if we vacate, that 25 feet goes to the adjacent landowner, be it Eels or private.
Yeah, and going on further, we can't predict what the future has for this council, so there's no point in doing that. I don't see any reason to have, vacating any right-of-ways or restricting access to any lots in Grant. I mean, a lot of people are gonna be pretty upset about it if you do it, so. That's all I got.
Thank you. Yes, sir, come on up. Mhm.
Hi, good evening, council. My name is Eric Colon. Sorry. Oh, I apologize. Start again. My name is Eric Colon. I'm a resident of the Grand Valkaria area. I'm actually a former neighbor of Mr. Kelly. I don't own 21 properties like him, but I own my second property. I sold my first one, and I own the second one. I love this town, and I want the town to stay small. I like what you guys are doing with that. But I definitely agree that vacating those right-of-ways will be a problem. And I wanted to give my opinion and say that I would like for you guys to vote against vacating for multiple reasons. The non-vegetative areas that are being used for the trail has been over 40, 50 years. It's a trail that me and my family use for horses. It's not all ATVs, it's horse people that ride around those trails. I'm a veterinarian. I would like to not only the vegetation for the animals, the turtles, forcing the landowners, private or eel, to find another way to the property when there's already a trail that, even though it's an arguable trail versus right of way, it's still a trail. And that's been there for 40, 50 years. I think definitely that should be preserved. And I like the fact that you guys are trying to keep Bombay from turning this into concrete.
We're trying.
I appreciate that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, anyone else? Yes, sir. Come on up. Yeah.
Oh, you said sir.
I'm sorry. Hey, you.
Ron Mallett. I just trying to catch up with all this technical, legal jargon and stuff, what eel is, what vacate means, and I've learned a lot already. But to me, as it's been said already, and I was going to say, it seems like it's such a permanent thing based on the worry of things happening. Now, I get you're trying to do it to protect from future councils coming that don't think the same as you. If you did pass this, what would stop a future council from having a meeting like this and saying, we'd like to make a change again?
They can't go back. They can't, once you vacate, you give it up. The town gives it up.
Okay, so suppose it never happens and all this happens and you realize you wanted it, you gave it up forever.
Yeah, gave it up.
Is there a reason right now to do it? Or maybe to do it ever? They still have to ask permission, like we're saying, to come build a road to Grant Road. They need with the 25 foot, now 25 foot, is that length or width? Width,
It
okay.
needs a 50-foot.
For a DOT road needs 50
The
feet.
road has to be 50.
In town, yeah, a 50-foot right of way.
So it would be very reasonable to think that a developer with huge fund access would be able to buy one of those lots to hop around it. I mean, if you look at the prices, what they are, there are some for sale out there. If they're gonna be building a huge community and they gotta buy a $20,000, $30,000 piece of land, to go hop right around it, it could be done. But then again, they have to come to the council and say, can we build a road on it? Will it be this
They have to
council?
build a road to it. They couldn't pass that. I mean, yeah.
Well, if they own that property now, they could
Yeah.
connect on their property and connect past the 25 feet and still build a road, right? If the town approved them to do that, if they put the money up to build the road out. So basically what I'm saying is maybe we're a little ahead of the worry game here and it's not gonna happen and it's gonna burn a lot of people who are using that. I think you might have set a lot of people that are here present and alive today to worry about what's gonna happen 10 or 20 years from now. That's all.
Thanks, Ron. Pat? Oh, hold on a minute. Wait a minute, I recognize Pat first and then you can come up.
Brian, former residence, now refugee in Palm Bay. This town has done things like this before, and it's been done. The fear that everybody is kind of poo-pooing right now. All I ask you is take a look, drive down Robert Conlon Drive in Palm Bay. Drive down Palm Bay Road and look. Everything. Port Malabar Boulevard and US 1. This is Palm Bay. This has been our fear of Palm Bay for 20 years. It's the reason why we incorporated. I'll get into that a little bit during public comment, so you're not done with me yet. But no one is being denied access to the land. The right-of-ways are being adjusted so people can still get to those properties, but it prevents Palm Bay from connecting. Are we worrying about something that could happen 10 years from now, 5 years from now? Yes. That's why we're incorporated now, because 20 years ago we were worried about what was going to happen 5 to 10 years from now. This town has always looked ahead to try to figure out where the threats are coming from. I personally feel that Rick's solution to get rid of the east of the C, and that one C1. Thank you very much. I didn't get a full agenda like I used to. I think that's a good compromise. And yes, another Palm Bay can come in and later on and say, I want to buy this land from this person. That's always been, there's no guarantees in life. But this council has always done what it could to try to prevent future things from happening, which is why we're a town today, and which is why I was able to buy a lot and build a house in Palm Bay, in Grand Valkaria 30 years ago for under $100,000 that I just sold for an obscene amount of money. And if we hadn't done what we did 20 years ago, we would look like Robert Conlon Road. We would look like Port Malabar and Babcock. So I think what has been proposed by Rick is a fair solution. It lets all those landowners still access their property. They just have to do a different way to do it. It still leaves part of that trail open, but it closes off Palm Bay as much as we possibly can at this moment in time. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, there was other Hi.
William Riley. Quick question. How wide did the easements have to be for a road?
50 feet.
What are the widths of the easements you're talking about vacating?
They're 50.
No, very great is. What are the other ones? On paper,
They're
what are they?
50 feet. We were proposing to vacate 25 of the 50.
I understand, but
To still
every
allow
right of way
driveway.
out there is 50 feet. Everyone. No exception.
It is on paper, if it was developed.
Yeah. Gotcha. Very great. My name is Bill Riley. I'm addressing the town council on behalf of myself, my brother, and Richard Davis. Combined, we own 35 acres, which we have continuously preserved and used and accessed for over 40 years, way before the town was here. The EEL program has harassed, threatened with arrest, and our property has been confiscated by EEL managers. Specifically, our rights afforded to us under Florida Statute Title 40, Chapter 70401, implied grant way of necessity and statutory way of necessity, exclusive of common law right, Title 8 and Chapter 95.361. Through written correspondence, we have been personally singled out and threatened with arrest, trespass. Furthermore, we have been harassed and documented false statements. In addition, the personal property has been confiscated and vandalized by EEL managers. The EEL program managers have and are presently violating their own policies, operating guidelines set forth by the Valkaria County Commission. In particular, implementing a practice of de facto eminent domain, prohibited by their own policy 9.6 of the EEL program land acquisition manual, and policy 10.4 of the objectives of the Brevard County Comprehensive Plan. Furthermore, 4.4.1 of the Land Management Partners in Appendix A1, the EEL program conservation principles, objectives, manuals, and have been ignored. By vacating the right-of-ways, you also, everybody downstream or upstream loses property value. If they don't have a right-of-way to their property, what good is it? Makes it useless. That's what eminent domain is. They're devaluing your property where it's not worth any money, or you can't sell it. Go ahead.
No, let him finish.
Oh, okay,
Finish.
gotcha. I'm here requesting that the town investigate into the aforementioned problems before moving forward with any vacating of right-of-ways or easements. Using the town staff to help you restrict the people's right is just wrong, and the practice should be stopped immediately. I have here some photographs. This is Ag Marine deputies that were sent by EEL to my gate to arrest me from going to my property. You notice the gate, the orange gate? After we left, this is what happened to the orange gate. Okay? So, I went and bought a new gate. Put a nice sign on it. Put it back up. Came back down. You stole my gate. Put up a cable so nobody could access it. This is, he's not there anymore, I don't believe, Chris O'Hara and an assistant at my gate where my camp is, cutting the lock off of my gate. This is a picture of their new chain and their lock on my gate. This is our property on Berry Grade that we've been talking about. They put up a fence and a sign like it's theirs.
Sir, your time is up,
Okay.
okay?
I'll yield my time to this gentleman.
You don't do that.
Why can't he
That's
finish?
not how it works. Okay, sir, we got your point, and, I mean, that's something that yields. It sounds like there's an issue between who owns what. Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, no, I don't know whose issue it is, but it sounds like there's an issue there. So
No, they want my property.
They can't do that.
Okay, please tell them that. You want their number?
That's something, I guess.
Honestly, they're horrible
Understand.
people.
Understand.
You know, the deputy sheriff that came out there, once I showed him 70401.2, Florida statutes, he called his supervisor, and he left without making an arrest.
Thank you. Your time's up right now.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you very much. And you can always come and talk to staff about this. Okay?
Maria Dockery, Seattle Sioux. I'm really concerned about this. Now, I thought that Richard had presented a reasonable accommodation so that people can still access their land. But now, after listening to this gentleman, I'm really concerned that we're dealing with a big state bureaucracy, and some of these people are, if they don't have the financial means to sue the state or have an attorney to represent their interests, that they're going to end up like this fella, just constantly battling, spending money and constantly battling. I really believe that we need to be very careful about gifting land or abandoning land and giving it to eels. I think we really need to consider I really think that we need to trust in the community, in voting for council members who are going to support and defend their interests in the future. And for this council to reach into the future and attempt to manage and set precedents in the future when we don't know what's going on. Now, I completely support cutting off Palm Bay from having any opportunity to put roads through any of our properties. However, there are unseen things, we know that, through life. There are unseen things that pop up. Wow, good thing we didn't do it this way. There's a better option or a different alternative. But really, I don't believe that this is something that this council should be considering right now. I know it's proactive, and I am a proactive person, but listening to what these people are saying and what these property owners are saying, I really believe that maybe we need to leave this and leave this to future generations who do love this town, who do want to take care of it and want to prevent the overreach of Palm Bay. But we need to trust those people. So I think that might be everything I have to say. So, oh, and one other thing I wanted to say is, can we get, I got 2.5 minutes left. One other thing I wanted to say is, if we want to get assertive or aggressive, is it too late for us to start looking at annexing some of this land before Palm Bay takes it? So why don't we annex it, we bring it in, and we do what Grant Valkaria wants to do with it? Because you know that the county is giving practically was giving the land away at one point in time. Is there any land left? Can we, so Palm Bay has already taken it and it's done. So we also need to be careful or to start looking at these lots and how they're kind of speckled through the mega parcel, and make sure that if there is something that comes available, maybe the town needs to buy those little lots, because the state does own some of these lots. They were purchased for like $2,000 or something like that. Let's get in there and let's buy those lots back. If there's an opportunity to negotiate with the state, how about if the town owns those particular lots? Maybe in the future that's something that we would benefit from. So it's just food for thought. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Maria. Come on up.
Yes, my name's Christopher Riley. I own over 30-some acres out in the areas you're talking about. And if y'all give the right-of-ways back to Eel, they'll just do like on the north side where we can't access our properties no more. They'll go in there, cut every tree down across the roads, and we're done. You can't go to your property. You try to go a different route, we're in handcuffs. Been there. It's plain and simple. These people want to eminent domain us. And y'all are giving them the means by vacating the right-of-ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we're back to council. Oh, you're coming up? Oh, okay. I thought you were leaving. State your name, please.
Eric Addington. I own property down here. I own a lot of lots in Palm Bay, sold over 500 in Palm Bay for 30 years. Never had a problem like this in Palm Bay, of course. I do own property here, and I wasn't too worried about this meeting. I wasn't worried about it then. But my eyes have been open. I've heard about eels before. I've dealt with eels before, with selling land, but not trying to access land that I have. And I understand y'all's feelings that we can't, we're not sure of what the boards could be like in the future, but you all are elected by these people who care about this. And I think you have to have the trust and faith that people, future generations, are going to feel the same way you do and they do. And I understand trying to cut off things, but you also have a little faith in the people that are coming behind you, that they're going to do the same job you've done. And I think that that's a real factor.
Anyone else? Okay, all right, back to council. Anyone have some comments? What do you think about Rick's idea or doing nothing?
particularly go with Rick's idea and bring this back to the council after we make the changes.
I've got some stuff. I wanted you guys to, I've got some bullet points, but I wanted you guys to discuss a little bit more. I wanted to get all the information before I comment.
I have no problem leaving access for folks now. I do worry about future councils, but if it's up to these folks to make sure the council that gets up here feels the same way they do now. I don't want to take away access. Obviously, that trail is being used correctly, and they enjoy it. I know the mayor wanted it, but hear from the folks. I don't have a problem with Rick's idea, so I'm kind of on the fence. I don't think Rick's idea will take away access for y'all, correct? I don't think it'll take the access they need away, and it will put a little bit of blockage up for Palm Bay right now. She goes down there. Anyway, I just thought to hear some more about it, I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, appreciate everyone coming and talking. A lot we don't know, and a lot that we find out. And I know there's a lot of social media out there. I don't partake in much of it. I hear a little bit, so this is how I get my information. And there was also a workshop prior to this where very few attended where this was discussed. But that's okay. That's why government takes a long time and takes steps, because this stuff needs to be discussed. But hearing what I heard, and I talked with Jason about this earlier, and to me, this wasn't necessary to come up at this time, because it is something that is, like I said, to me, it's strategic in the future. It's a move, a strategic move to perhaps protect in the future. But I don't see the need for, on the southern area, and the areas of your concerns, I don't see why we need to take any action at this time, and I would support leaving that alone. Now, there's other stuff on this agenda yet to discuss, other parts that we'll have to look at. But for the southern part right now, I think Rick's idea has it good, but there's no reason it can't happen later. And once again, I think Maria and others brought up valid points that the last gentleman is trust the people. You're here to speak on it. You're going to put people up here. Everyone up here was elected, is elected. So my position will be to drop this part of it right now. We'll see what the continuing discussion is, but that would be my vote on the C1 southern section.
No, I just wanted to reiterate that, this whole idea, we were looking at some vacates in the workshop, and they were primarily in the some platted subdivision areas, and the property owners basically were requesting them. The mayor's the one that did bring this up, that he thought it would be a good way to protect. The only thing I want to add to the discussion, and it's unfortunate that we heard quite a bit about it tonight. This in no way, shape, or form had anything whatsoever to do with Ilse. We never contacted them. We never talked to them. Yeah, they would if we vacated these right-of-ways adjacent to their property. Yes, they would get the vacated portion, just like John Smith would get the vacated portion on his. That's the law. But in no way, shape, or form were we trying to block anyone's access. We were actually going to prepare a special ordinance that would allow a driveway to these properties that are located between the right-of-ways, between those north-south portions. So the town was really willing to go the extra mile to make sure everybody had access to their property. I was not even aware of this east-west trail. I just wasn't until I saw it on social media, and I started looking into it, and that's when I talked to Jason and said, well, maybe we ought to reconsider this. I hope the rest of the council does feel that way. It's not an immediate threat, so we could bring it up anytime in the future. And, you know, if it becomes a problem or a threat, then we'll take care of it at that point in time.
Rick, first off, I want to thank you for all your hard work on what you've done as far as the vacates. I think I agree with both Rick and Dan that it's something we don't need to do right now, but I just got to help the future councils when they have 3,300 more homes down in Palm Bay, and half of those own four-wheelers and side-by-sides, and they're in the woods of Valkaria. So you need to kind of think about that. Not that vacating those lands will stop that, but future councils are going to have to deal with it. So I don't think I could support this ordinance or resolution today.
Anybody else?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is something that should be, left up to the future. If they choose not to, then that's their choice. But like, it doesn't guarantee anything anyway. As long as we're in position, yes, it would stay effect. But in 5 years, who knows who's going to be sitting up in this behind this guy. So I think we just need to let it play out, and hopefully your offspring will decide if they want to keep things as it is now. Yeah, I'm done.
I just wanted to kind of get everybody's feedback, and I think it sounds like everybody's kind of on the same page. I just wanted to ask a question. So the only reason was to prevent access, right? There is not another reason that we figured it's the future potentially road.
The mayor had concerns with all the new development to the south. They've annexed right up to our borders, and he was concerned that someday they may push to try to get a connector up to Grant Road.
Okay.
And he wanted to prevent that.
All right, thanks. Just want to thank everybody for taking the time to come out tonight. Obviously, it sounds like you've convinced us to, with your information. I've learned a lot tonight with the yields. I can tell you're passionate about it. I learned. I think we thought originally when we did the workshop, I think this would be received by the public a lot differently. We were trying to restrict access, and it was great. It's great that you guys came here to kind of change our mind on this. Again, I think one of you guys said, I think Rick, you said it wouldn't stop access except for the property owners. But now my concern is those property owners being Neils, right? So I can admit that you guys have changed my opinion. I want to have faith in our future council. Hopefully, this is not an advertisement for me to run, but hopefully I can take the baton, and I would not want to restrict access for the property owners that are out there, for the beekeeper that's out there. I want everybody to have their rights, but we want to keep it rural, right? We want to try to stop Palm Bay from doing what they need to do. You said it correctly. We're planning for something that is in the future that may not even ever happen. So I agree with that, right? Let's wait till that gets to that point. Let's have faith in the people that you guys elect to protect the town. So I think I heard a couple city council members say that they would want to do a portion of it. I think we do away with it all right now. We can always readdress it later, but right now I think, like I said, my mind has been changed, and I think we don't vacate any right of ways.
So what you're saying is, in that below Grant Road, is what you're saying. There's other sections of this resolution that are addressing.
I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. Thank you for correcting that. Yes. Where the concern is, where all these people's concerns are today.
Because there are other needs that we are vacating for drainage reasons.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Rick identified the sections that would not be affected.
Right, we would take out C and C1, and we would take out in the title sections 34, 35, and 36 out of the Township 29 South, Range 37 East section. Yeah. And we would add in the section 18 under Township 29 South, Range 38 East. That will take care of that, and we eliminate C and C1. That eliminates everything south of Grant Road, and that only then vacates portions of right-of-ways that are within plats where we've had requests. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's no rush. We don't, you know, it'll be in a, if we bring it back ever, it'll be on an agenda. So you'll be very well aware.
And I think folks that were adjacent to her got letters, right? Did they not? So excuse me. So it wasn't being done under any kind of cover or anything. It's all, and we have 2 readings of these. Oh, not resolutions, but ordinances. Any ordinance has 2 readings. Anyway, I want, gosh, yeah, it's not, I don't know if the water's gonna help, but no, you have convinced me. I never wanted to take away access to folks, and especially if they're using that right away correctly and responsibly. I have no problem with that. And like I said, we can wait. We can watch and see what Palm Bay does down there. And if we get a sniff of something, then we'll try to do, maybe not east or west, but a little bit of north and south. We'll see. And like, you know, you guys make sure you put people up here that aren't gonna let Palm Bay in. I mean, that's why we worked our butt off for 2 years to get this town incorporated. So please keep it going. Okay, so we need a vote? No, yes.
Need a
no.
motion? Need a motion in a second.
Are you going to motion and second and see one part out and continue with it, or do you want to make a motion on this whole?
No, it would be removing the C1.
Yeah.
This is a motion for the C1 and move on,
It would be-
continuing on.
Yes, well, no, do you want to discuss, once the motion and second's done, you all vote, we're done.
Yeah.
So if you all want to discuss any other sections of the vacates.
The other sections that are being vacated, there's still some agreement to.
I mean, they're real quick and short. Those
Okay,
other
let's
sections-
get it over with.
I think we should, since everybody's here, so that we
These
know.
are north of Grant Road.
Okay, so, all right, so what,
Let's look at it before we're.
sounds like what the consensus is up here, haven't voted yet, but folks, so you understand, is we're not going to vacate those areas that you're concerned about. And in any way, shape, or form, either north or south or east or west, okay? So those are staying as is. Now, we do have others in this resolution that folks have requested these things be vacated. And so that's what we're gonna address now, okay? Everybody understand that? So we're not talking about the areas you're concerned about. Yes, Maria?
Are these landowners who made the request? You said folks who've requested this? Are they
Yes.
landowners
Yes.
or butters?
Yes, yes.
You'll see on some of them, that to clear up some.
Okay, yes, sir. Real quick.
Yes. A lot of these roads that go down to that road are owned by Eel on each side, so when you vacate them other right-of-ways back to Eel, immediately they're gonna drop the trees, and we still won't be able to get down there.
We're not doing anything south of Grant Road. That's what's on the table right
Nothing south
now.
of Grant Road.
Nothing. That's what's on the table.
But now you're talking about north of Grant
There are some subdivisions.
We're talking north of the Valkaria Road.
North of Valkaria Road. And again, this has
And
been
there's no Eels
requested.
property involved in these.
Where's that at?
So if you look at,
There's a lot of really small platted areas that were.
so you got Leghorn Road on north up here. So this is the town of Malabar all the way up north. We have property owners that own multiple properties in here that are requesting to remove the right of ways in between their properties, so they can have one bigger piece of property. The other one that's being discussed is vacating this right of way. The owner owns both sides of it. This is the end of Valley Road. Valley Road ditch comes down and moves across their property, so we no longer can maintain it due to
Please be quiet.
the property, the drainage of the ditch has shape since it was originally done back in the day. So we're gonna vacate this portion, so they have both properties together, and then they're gonna give us a drainage easement, which is on tonight's agenda, so we can actually maintain the ditch coming off that road into Goat Creek. That's the only.
The other one's
That's it?
on Old Dixie.
Oh, yes, we have one more on Old Dixie.
See, a lot of these areas that we're working within were originally platted with 25-foot wide lots, probably most likely for single-wide mobile home subdivisions. And what's happened is people have bought all the lots, multiple lots, and now we have these roads that are not necessary. And, because you're just not you don't need access to these lots.
Yeah, they have the large lots that go from
I
Old
think-
Dixie all the way to Main Street.
And can you bring up the exhibit on that one? Yeah, there you go. There on the top, Shaw, and, what's circled it with a 1, the same person owns all those lots between Old Dixie and, is it
Main Street.
Main
yeah.
Street, okay. On number 2, we needed an access because I forget if it's lot 17 or lot 1. One of those is still owned by an individual. So we needed part of that grant so that they could access that. Same way with, Cook, the same person owns everything in 2. The person on 3, I think there's a couple different lots on 3. That's why we left Owens, because there's some interior lots, and we want to make sure that people still have access. And then Mount Pleasant, 4 and 5 are owned by the same people, so that road is no longer needed. Basically, it's just trying to clean up some of these areas that were 25-foot wide easements. And people have bought up the entire piece of land, so we don't need all these extra east-west roadways going through there.
So that Mount Pleasant would cut right across the middle of his land now.
Yeah,
So that's why we want to get rid of it.
He'll get half, 4 will get half, and 5 will get the other half. They still have access off of Old Dixie or off of Main Street. They come in either way.
So to be clear on that, 4 is owned by one individual, and 5 is owned by another individual.
Okay, 4, you can see that's all owned by one, except for the 2 parcels there. And that's why we left a piece of Main Street, or did we leave all
No,
of
that
Main
one
Street?
we left all of Owens.
That's Owens? Okay. Yeah, that's Owens, so we left all of Owens because there are a few that have individual lots in there.
But that would be it for the vacates.
Yeah. On the south there, which was shown as 5 on the other map, you can see there's 2 empty lots, but they have access from Sand Ridge. So we don't need the Mount Pleasant to the north of that. We made sure everyone has their 50-foot access. They can build a roadway or whatever to their lots if they don't sell them to the existing property owner.
And property owners are aware, and
Everyone
a lot of
got
them
notice.
requested it, yeah.
Same reason all these are here, because they got noticed.
All right, so does anybody want to speak on these?
Shouldn't that be like a separate thing?
No, it's not, it's all in the same resolution. We're Xing out all the stuff you guys were concerned about and leaving these, so we can get these done for these folks.
Just ditch the thing. People are tired. They're tired.
Okay, all right, so we need,
I'm tired. Pissed.
oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Dan Blom, I'm one of those owners. It appears to me all the issues been raised tonight. There are some legitimate ones. They're all involving Exhibit C.
Yes.
I like the proposal just eliminate that. It should be clear. I want everybody to understand that this case with these other exhibits are very much the case of owners who own land on both sides of the easement, and we're just trying to make those lots contiguous.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we need a resolution, but we need to be careful. Why don't you make it read?
Okay.
Motion.
I brought one that I marked up.
I marked one.
No, here we go. Yeah, here we go. I think Jess probably has it all, but the resolution 11-2025 would read abandoning certain right-of-ways or portions thereof located in section 13, township 29 south, range 37 east, and sections 34, 18, township 29 south, range 38 east, Brevard County, Florida. All is more particularly described and shown in exhibits A, A1, B, B1, D, D1, providing for conflict, providing for an effective date. So we have eliminated C and C1 and the reference to the section 34, 35, and 36, which is C and C1.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that with the request that you confirm our intent. Just in case you had to confirm everything that is correct.
Okay. Any more discussion up here? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on. Consent agenda. There's some minutes in the consent agenda. Does anyone want to talk about those? Anything on the consent agenda? Council? All right, first and second, Dan and Tom. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public comments. For this, you have a 5-minute limit. I have some blue cards up here. Another one? It will be here a little while. Okay, I can't read the first name, but last name is Foster. I'm sorry, how do you say your name?
Sabrin.
Sabrin, okay. Now, just to make sure everybody, when you come up here, you're not going to talk about anything that was on the agenda. This is something totally off the agenda.
Oh, yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Sabrin. I come here today as a Grant landowner and a longtime Brevard resident. I have a huge appreciation for nature, which is why my husband and I decided to sink our funds into a private camp in the woods. Upon my due diligence, I was told that I could build a farm-style fence on my property, to which I did. My camp is now the perfect place to take my horse and my recreation vehicles to be secluded from the harsh reality of this ever-growing world. My property is a place where I find solace in life, where I find happiness and freedom. I respect nature, always leaving the land better than where I found it. There is an established easement that has long provided legal access to my property. This easement has been in regular, peaceful use by multiple landowners. Until recently, it was secured by a combination gate, and all lawful users of this easement had the code. However, that changed without notice. The combination was replaced with a keyed lock, and no keys were given to myself or others with easement rights. As of today, I am being denied access to my own property. This action is not only unreasonable, it is unlawful. Florida statutes 70401 and 70404 clearly protect the rights of landowners to unobstructed access through illegal easement. Courts have held that interfering with that access, including locking gates without consent, is not permitted regardless of who owns the underlying land. I hope today that we can put this matter to rest so I can get back out to my property. Is this gate restriction lawful at the end of why not? That goes out to my property, will you restore access to me? My property number is 293722000792.
Thank you. Yes.
The town, the administration.
The end of why not?
The end of Why Not is not an approved access by council. The approved access for that area would be off of Valkaria Road. And we did have Turcom, but currently Turcom is under construction with a new road going south, so we will have to address that, either finding a culvert to put in there for Turcom or remove that one and look at any other access points.
Yeah, why can't we use why not? I was sold the property back in last February. I've been using it for well over a year now. I go out there every week with my horse and ride for miles, and I've never had an issue until this week.
It's not an approved access by ordinance, so that's why we had to lock that one down.
What?
It's not an approved access by ordinance. There's actually a driveway access ordinance that we have in place that gives you certain gates that you're able to go into. Like they were speaking down south, they're limited to certain areas that they're able to access down south or in the middle parcel. There's only one access towards the middle parcel above Grant Road. So on the east side of 95, or the west side of 95, we have the access point is off of Valkaria Road, not Why Not Road. We used to have an access point off of Turcom Road, but we built a new Yeehaw Road going south is under construction now, so that removed that gate on Turcom Road. So we will have to address.
Why wouldn't it be?
Why can't we use why not though? If we've been
So
using
Why Not
it,
has never been an approved,
That's correct.
it's never been an approved.
Never, but.
but it's been there since '80s.
Well, it's a right of way on paper.
It's right away. So, but we
And
close,
it's-
please, folks, she's up here and we're up here. So the council closed it off.
Yeah, during the workshops and all that, you all had to approve.
Okay, this was years ago.
Yes.
It wasn't recent, so.
No, it was not a recent workshop.
No.
But I was sold my property last year.
Did you check in here?
Yes, I called the town council. I was told that it's a property maintained road, as well as that I could put in a farm style fence. I asked if I could do that because I wanted to be able to have my horse out there and be able to ride. And I was told that that was completely okay because it was my private property.
The town maintains the road up to the gate, but
Yeah,
fencing.
no, outside the gate, or inside the gate, once I get in, I was told that that's her private property owner maintained road.
It sounds like you were told wrong.
I called the town of Grant Valkaria and spoke with them and did my due diligence before I bought the property. And I've been, like I said, for the past 18 months, I've been going out there at least every week. I have a actual camp that I use and that I've had access to. I just don't understand why all of a sudden it's being cut off from me. I have things out there. I've got trailers. Why can't I get out to my property?
Well, it's supposed to be a vacant piece of property. If you're going to construct a road to your property, that's what it takes to utilize a piece of property.
Well, I understand it's not to be built on. It's just a vacant land that I'd like to be able to go out and use recreationally. Why wouldn't I be able to get out there via the
You-
route that I was already?
You do, well, with that route, it's not approved by council.
Did you change it?
Yeah, can we make a motion to change
You
that?
guys, please don't.
It would have to,
I know it's hard.
we could,
I can let the peanut gallery come up here.
if
if
council
you
would
want.
want to, if
What?
council wants to see it in the future, we can bring it up in a workshop or.
I would really
agenda
appreciate
item
that.
If you all want to reevaluate. This wasn't be something you should vote on tonight because there are other people in the surrounding areas that might have difference of opinion.
And it's closed off with some of them.
Right, that was closed.
I
off.
understand, but I'd really like it if y'all could consider it.
All right, and it was
I
closed off,
appreciate
it was closed off for a reason. I just don't know.
Well, I mean, there
what.
was during the workshops and everything. That's all.
We had workshops, it wasn't in secret again, you know, we had workshops.
I'll let my fellow property owners come up and talk to y'all to continue. I just wanted to make sure that y'all understood that it's something that I really am passionate about. I love being out there, and I don't see why I should be restricted.
I don't know why she was told that she could, but whatever. Okay, so we will, we can, are you guys willing to have a workshop on this stuff?
Bolt cutters, boom. Kick it down, throw it in the garbage.
Yeah, she can come in from Valkaria Road.
If I ride my horse?
Valkaria Road.
What about my trailers out there? I can't drive my truck anymore now that y'all have restricted the access to the gate that I've been able to use.
From Valkaria
A
Road.
different gate, yes.
No, you can't.
A different gate? Can I have access to that gate then? Are you gonna?
All right, one person at a time.
Okay, if you'll give me the access codes to that gate and show me, I mean, exactly how to get there, I'll stay afterward and we can discuss that. That'd be awesome, I'd really appreciate it.
We're not denied access, there is access to the road, there is access to it, because I'm using different gates.
Like I said, if there's a different access and I'm able to get out there easily using a truck, that would be incredible, and I'd be really appreciative if y'all could show me.
All right, talk to them later, or
Thank you so much.
anytime, okay? Okay, let's see, where's my cards here? Richard Luke?
Hi, my name's Richard Luke. I'd like to tell you guys thank you for your service. I appreciate it. I'm here in regards to a property that I own off of Why Not Drive as well. That was my wife. I was just going to say that since I was 16, I busted my butt and worked outside and sweat for every dollar that I could make to save up for a nice little piece of property and be a part of this town, Grant, Valkaria. I finally had enough money to do that. Me and my wife, we split our life savings on this beautiful piece of property in the woods. We met some incredible people along the way, like our neighbor Mike and our new neighbor Cuba. I've sunk every dollar I've had into this property and did my due diligence before I bought it, and I knew I would never be able to build on it, but access was a must. Ordinance law that was passed 13-2020 was an ordinance law that was put in place, and the landowners in the front of the gate that do not own the easement have now used that as a reason to put a gate and a combination lock that grants access to several private landowners, and that has been in access for years, several years. For far before I bought my property and before the ordinance was passed, that gate had the same combination on it and the same access. As of last week, this landowner has stated that you guys, the town council, have put a lock on that gate and have made it to where it's inaccessible.
Is that true?
Is that a true statement?
Council does not, we work at direction of council, so there was an issue out there in the woods with a lot of construction going on, so the staff locked the gate.
And where was the written notice for that, for the changing of that combination and locking of that gate?
It's in the ordinance.
So an ordinance that was passed in a workshop and not a written
It's a written ordinance.
Okay.
It's a written ordinance.
So what about all the other private landowners that are out there?
If y'all need to get something out, I'll unlock the gate.
Okay.
And then if you need access.
And we're not allowed to have access to that land?
No, I didn't say that. I said you can have access off of Valkaria Road.
And we're gonna destroy several Eels properties and wetlands to try to get to that property in that process. What about that?
You're allowed to use the right of ways.
So we're gonna destroy more property and more wetlands instead of the one that's already there
Okay,
that you can fit a truck through.
Yeah, let's consider this later at a workshop, so, because
Because
lots of issues.
there's no legitimate access at all.
Okay, there's lots of
You guys
issues.
can say that there is, but there really isn't.
There's lots of issues,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, there was wetlands damaged out there in the right of way. DEP's investigating it. The right of ways in the town.
Off of Why Not?
Yes, the right of ways in the town, so the town could possibly be held responsible for the damage.
Okay, all right, so see, there's lots of issues around this stuff, so let's.
So now what about my trailers and my equipment? You're just gonna open the gate and then what, I'm never allowed to go down that road ever again?
Unless the council changes the ordinance.
Okay, what do we have to do to motion to make that happen?
They're gonna hold a workshop, it sounds like.
And when is that workshop?
Well, they haven't discussed it.
We'll have
You
to-
guys-
I'm sorry. Hey, I respect everything you guys do. Trust
Okay,
me.
all right, we're
Trust
gonna
me, I
hold
do.
the work, we see, there's a lot of issues, so we don't wanna decide right here.
Yes,
okay?
ma'am, I understand.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
let us, we'll ask staff to schedule a workshop and you'll be notified, everyone will be notified, you come talk and we'll talk about it. It's not a place where we're gonna make you do something or we're gonna do something. We're gonna talk to you, listen to you, and come up with a good solution that will be good for everybody,
Okay.
okay? That's how we would like to work.
Yeah,
We're not
yeah, I'd like
trying
to
to
work
do
like that
things
as well.
to you,
Yes, ma'am.
okay?
We just, as landowners, we
I
feel like you
understand.
are.
I understand.
You know, and you can see why I'm a little bit passionate about the
And
situation.
we appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
I totally understand, because we were the same way when we incorporated.
And there's several other private landowners that are gonna talk about the same easement.
Great, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
You're
Have a great day.
giving us a direction. Okay, so, Jason, do you want to schedule that now or wait till the things are over?
I would wait for public comment.
Okay. Yeah, let's wait so the folks can, all right. Next is Bill Cuba. Melina?
Yeah, it's a nickname for a long, long time. So I'm a part of this why not situation as well. Me and my wife just spent our life savings to buy a piece of property out there. We were accessing the property, no problems, no issues. Supposedly the gentleman at the end of the road, who's the road's named by, said, hey, you're good to go, all that stuff like that, didn't give us any issues. And then I noticed, years ago, there was a kind of a gate, not really a gate, you can get through there, but, kind of a gate. I don't know if you guys built it, but I've heard you guys did not build this gate. Not the town of Grant. Then, we're talking about the easement. This is a picture of 2004. This is going back 20 years. That's always been used for travel. Look how beautiful that lake is with all that property there. People have been going back there. Heavy equipment's been back there. Cars have been back there. I was told you can't have a motorized vehicle on that piece of land, but everybody says, hey, ATV. Legally, that's classified as a motorized vehicle in Florida law. We can ride ATVs, destroy wetlands, do all kinds of crazy stuff, but we want to use a road that's been there for 30, 40 years. Just to go, my property is 1,000 feet from that gate. I went there Monday to access my property, new lock. Who would have known? Went there, someone changed the lock. I'm sitting there looking like an idiot. All the neighbors come out, put their arms around me, act like they're my best friends. Come to find out, they lied in my face. That's wrong. That's not, country folk like. To me, that's just wrong. If you got to be a straight shooter. If there's an issue, you just go ahead and let me know. So, and I wanted to bring up how you're talking about easements and stuff. I'm assuming some folks have heard of what they call a prescriptive easement. So prescriptive easement, just to throw it out there, grants legal rights to use another's property without their permission, if that use is open, notorious, continuous, and adverse for 20 years, which it has. This is similar adverse possession, but it does not grant full ownership. It only provides the right to use a specific portion of the land. Basically, key requirements for this, for prescriptive easement, is continuous, uninterrupted use for 20 years. It's been used 20, 30, 40 years. Anybody who's been in this town for that long knows.
You're talking about why not?
Why not? Yes, correct. I was told, you want to access it? Go build a road. I said, man, I don't have $1 million. Well, that's not our problem. I was told, go use Turcum. So I decided to go to Turcum that day to look, and lo and behold, like you said, someone built the road. Someone must have got the money, who had the money. This is my wife's and I's life savings. We wanted a little piece of Grant. We don't want to build either. We want to go out there and camp and show my daughter what Florida is about. That's it. We want to enjoy nature, not destroy, not anything. By then telling us to go to Turcum, when I looked at that way to go from Turcum, we would have to cut through wetlands, marsh, sugar sand, all kinds of destroying things. No one cared. When I came up here and they were just like, here's ID, here's that. Not my problem. And that's how I felt. I was like, I wouldn't tell my wife she felt like she got punched in the face. We had just spent all of our money. I thought maybe I got scammed by the realtor. But once I started looking into the legalities of everything, I'm thinking, no, that's not right. This stuff's been here forever. And it's not like we're finding building permits. We're not trying to do anything. We're just trying to enjoy beautiful Grant Valkaria and what it has to offer. Wilderness, the animals, the fauna, just enjoy our little piece of the pie like they are. And, bring my daughter out there to camp. Not destroy. Not destroy. I want to reiterate that. Not to destroy. I'm an outdoorsman. I'm an avid outdoorsman. And I always love when I see a deer out there and no one's, sure people hunt, you know what I mean? But I like to show my daughter, see, it still exists. Because right next door, like you said, Palm Bay, it's a concrete monstrosity. I've lived out there. It's like, what? So if we can please resolve this issue, I think that why can't we have that code or back there? Because when you said destroyed and it needs to be investigated, I'm thinking to myself, I've been back there every week. Nothing's been destroyed. It's the same easement. That's how we get to our properties. That's it. I just don't get like that. I know he said he knows somebody up here because he's been in this town for 30, 40 years. He's like, I got someone on the council, so, I'm good. And I'm like, that's not fair. We're supposed to be impartial. This is an impartial situation. We're landowners. Actually, we're the majority landowners past that gate. Outside of that, most of it's state of Florida. If you don't want state of Florida to buy that land ever, I'm not selling. That's something I'm going to hand to my daughter, and it's going to be generational. And
Sir,
as soon as some of these
your
folks.
time's up.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I get a little passionate about stuff like
That's
this. you know?
okay. That's
And
okay.
right now, I'm out of $20,000.
We got it. We're gonna have a workshop on it. We'll try to do something.
Thank you, I
Okay?
appreciate it.
Okay. All right, Ed? Next.
Hi there, guys. That's Blue Boat Grant Road. I just was gonna make a comment on what these people are going through. It seems like you're holding their personal property hostage, and you put up a fake lock, and lock up all their stuff and keeping them from their land. I think that's really a bad thing, illegal thing, and it's terrorism as far as I'm concerned. I believe you shouldn't do a workshop. Nobody goes to your workshops, just like they didn't go to your breakfasts, because nobody wants to hang out with you guys, because you're not nice people. I want to be with my dogs at home. I don't want to be at these meetings. I didn't want to run for this seat at this office because it's boring, and I don't really like hanging out with you. I want to be with my dogs in my house. So basically, what I'm saying here is you shouldn't have a workshop. You shouldn't put it in and sandbag it for some other time. You should go and take some bolt cutters and get that damn lock off, or they should do it themselves, or I'll go down there with them and I'll do it. Because what you're doing here is illegal. It's wrong.
Very wrong.
Now, at the last damn meeting, you talk about fines on boaters, because some of their boats are worth a lot of money. These boaters work all damn year to enjoy their boat on the Memorial Day weekend when they have a 3-day weekend. They can enjoy their time with their family on the water. Trying to write the tickets and ticket them harder and squeeze them harder and $100 tickets instead of $30 tickets is ridiculous. The boats, it'd be great if we had a private grant boat ramp where town residents could exclusively use it. That'd be wonderful. But right now we don't. The town wants to chase motorcyclists. Why? Why do you want to chase motorcycle? He wipes out, he hits a car, he's going to be dead. You know, he's not going to hurt anybody. It's not a car speeding. The last meeting, you played a cat and mouse game, just like you're doing with these people, with that man who was a 9/11 first responder with a terminal illness, and you played a cat and mouse game. He was over there with a big old grin on his face. Let's see those phone records. He needs to have a phone record. Ha ha ha. And then you laughed, he was laughing, everyone was fucking having a great old time. That's unacceptable. People in this town should have said, hey man, you did your due diligence. Let's rescind the fines on this man. He's a terminal illness. The man's a hero. He walked into the buildings in 9/11. He ran towards the fire. He got mesothelioma when that building came down. All this asbestos went into his lungs. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Palm Bay is building and building, and where is it? It's over here. They've got all this land going around here, going around here, going around here. They're getting together with Barefoot Bay, and they're putting a giant, huge wastewater treatment system over there, right on the Grant Val diarrhea line over there, and they're going to pump all their sewage right into the lagoon with all those little turtles or whatever clams that those New Yorkers love to eat so much. And it's going to be 20,000, 30,000 people crapping in that lagoon. It's going to be a nasty sewage place, and it already stinks. But Barefoot Bay is on board because they're getting that water and they're getting the sewage treatment plant. So they've been bribed. They took the devil's money. Anyways, and as far as this GBCA association, this park going in, we've asked about the statues. I pointed out the statues are made in China. They're cheaply made. They're crap. In China, we fought against in Vietnam. China was on the side of Ho Chi Minh. So we're going to buy a statue from China to honor these men who fought in Vietnam? That's despicable. That should not be happening. And there's no transparency going on whatsoever. The only thing that I was made aware of is that S.E. Petro and the GBCA are real close. Something going on there. We don't know. But I read your charter, and it says that the GBCA works with developers. GBCA is supposed to be a charity. They're working with developers? That's not right. And you were on the president of the GBCA since 2006 when you started it. And I think that's when you got elected the last time. You've been here for 20 years doing this crap? People just want to be left alone. I just think you should just leave everybody alone, leave the town the way it is. People are happy. I know you all hate ATVs and you're at war with ATVs, but they really don't bother you people. Most of you are down at Cypress Creek in your own little happy little suburban hellscape down there, living a life like we moved here to get away from. I don't want to see my neighbor. I don't want my neighbor complaining about my trash can or the length of my grass or dog poo. I don't want any of that. I moved to get away from people. That's why we live here. But you have your HOA, and you should probably put up some damn lighting down there. It's real dark down there in Cypress Creek.
First one the criminals are gonna hit is your neighborhood. Goodbye.
Thank you. Greg? It is Greg, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just kind of curious.
State your name again for the record.
Craig Veslubo. So with this why not thing, I was just kind of curious. I was unaware of that, but you said there was DEP damage, which is Department of Environmental Protection, right?
Yes, there's been wetlands damage out there.
Wetlands damage? Is it a continuous wetlands that touches an open body of water with the state?
I'm not aware of what, has been notified.
Are you aware of, there's a Supreme Court ruling?
I'm not an attorney.
Yeah, I'm just trying to let you know. There's a Supreme Court ruling about EPA overreach about wetlands. Basically, any continuous body of water that has to touch, that wetlands supposedly actually have to touch a continuous body of water if it's navigable. So I'm not even sure that land is actually, wetlands, or might be something that you'd consider. I don't know why you'd put a lock on it because of that, kind of silly.
We'll talk about, like I said, there's lots of issues, so we come to the workshop and we'll work on it.
No workshop.
We don't do things on the fly, guys. Would you rather us do things on the fly?
They want it on the fly quickly.
Alright, okay, alright, so we are gonna consider it, so please, give us a chance, okay? Okay, Maria, did you wanna talk again? I have a blue card for you.
No, I'm all set.
Alright, okay, Ron, I have a blue card for you.
Ron Mallett. Hi. It was just brought up by Nettie a little, and I wanted to bring it up and be my thing. But does the town of Grant own any waterfront property anywhere that there would be the ability to make a residential boat ramp? In other words, that people for the town, no, huh?
It would have to be a private person that gave their private land and got a permit and did something on it.
Like the town doesn't have any access to any of it?
Anything we do is all public, it's like the town.
It's county, yeah, because I was looking at where they have the old, the historic house, and they got that beautiful little piece of walkway area. That's county, huh?
Well, you can petition them.
But it would have to be kind of given to, I would like to have a place where it's so packed, you can't, I moved here to use the water, you can't. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, done. And yes, so I wanted to see if we could have, like, a lot of areas where you go to, you have to be a resident. The town takes care of it, maintains it, you have a sticker for a windshield or whatever, just to use it. Another person came up with an idea of remote parking, where you use the ramp and then there's off-site parking. So even if it was just a little area, you could, if there was.
Liability across in 4 lanes at US 1, how are you gonna do that when you're on foot?
Shuttle service. This guy has a whole plan about doing a business with that. Shuttle. You would drive it. You Uber. You bring your car, your boat, your trailer. You park it remotely, and then he brings you back to your boat.
Makes sense. You have to buy a piece of property, right? And so you could take the people could park there, and then.
Oh no, the town should buy it. The town buy it, or get the insurance, everything. And one of the other things is we.
They're restricted the parking. This is all planned by the Manatee people that don't want boats on the river. That was a little bit of the reason the county wanted more property.
Well, people come from Orlando, Central Florida, and everything just to use our boat ramp because it's so close to the inlet. Even if they could wean it out if they just said you had to be a Brevard resident. It's a Brevard maintained boat ramp. Yeah. Right. Well, down south, they charge.
You could bring it up with the county, it's their park, and if you want to give them the idea of charging if you're not a Brevard resident, go ahead, because they may listen to you. It's the county,
This is as much government as I can handle.
I know.
This is-
Believe me, that's why, yeah.
And another thing is, we talked about, way back, about having a workshop meeting on a Saturday morning.
Mhm.
I got a phone call from Jessica one Wednesday, and she says, "Hey, we're gonna do that meeting. Is there any way for you to make it?" And I says, "When?" She said, "At 8:30. I was down in the back garage. I said, let me go to the house and look at my calendar." She gave me the date, and I looked at it, and it was Wednesday. So I called her back. I says, 8:30, that's kind of late. Can we start it earlier? And she says, "Well, we only open at 8 o'clock. I says, "You mean 8:30 in the morning on a Wednesday?" I says, "I can't make it." And like all the people I talked about can't make it.
Well,
So,
we decided we'll do one of those again at an evening. Is that better? An evening would be better?
well, part of the problem is, like, even me getting here a little late. People work, try and get some food in your stomach, take a shower, run here.
Right, right.
And you probably don't want to do it on a Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. So,
Well, we're gonna do it again, but we'll, definitely 8:30 on Wednesdays is not good, so.
yeah. You wouldn't show up?
So, yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah. So we'll do it again, and we'll talk to you about.
Or maybe it was like a 7:30, where it gave people who work time to kind of get here. It was more informal. You didn't have as much stuff.
Okay.
You know.
All right, and it was your idea, so that's why we did it, so, yeah.
8:30 in the morning.
No, the workshop was your idea, but,
Yeah.
okay, we'll talk to you again, Ron, about
Okay.
that. All right, next is William Riley, I know he was here before.
William Riley again. Do you understand, Jason, Haney, that state law supersedes any town ordinance? Is this true? I know you're not a lawyer, but.
This is your time to talk.
Yes, exactly. So you're not gonna answer? Okay. Statutory way of necessity. This is a state law in the books. Is what I use to access my property. I go across the sanctuary to get to it. Understand? All right. Let's see. Exclusive of any common law right exists when any land, including land formed by a Christian or religion, it's like titles, surges and stuff like that, or other occurring processes, or a portion thereof which is being used or desired to be used for a dwelling or dwellings for agricultural use, timber raising, cutting, stock raising purposes, is shut off or hemmed in by lands, fencing, or other improvements by other persons, so that no practical route or ingress and egress is available. Therefrom, the nearest public or private road in which the landlocked owner has vested interest, easement rights, the owner or tenant thereof, or anyone in their behalf, lawfully may use, maintain any easement for persons, vehicles, stock, franchise cable, television service, and utility services, including but not limited to water, wastewater, reclaimed water, natural gas, electricity, telephone service, over, under, through, and upon the lands which lie between the said shut off or hemmed in lands, and such public or private use in which said lands is being put to use, aforementioned shall not constitute a trespass. So if you use it, they can't even arrest you for it.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Cut the lock.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna run again.
All right.
Jason's gonna be mad.
It would be sitting on the front steps here if it was on my way. All right, let's see. And I don't know these people. I have no idea. But you're doing the same thing that Eel did to me for years to them. You, sir. You have no right to cut them off from their property.
We voted in.
None whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
the next card I have is Pat Bryan.
Three times in one night.
Pat Ryan, as you know, wandering nomad. I came to this meeting because at the time it appeared that this would be the last meeting that I would be here for. But you know how it goes when you're building a home. I might be able to come next month, just giving you fair warning. But I came to this meeting just to say a couple things. First of all, it was what? When did I not run again? When my term was over in 24?
Not before that.
22. I've heard a number of things since then about the meetings, and some of the things have disturbed me. Some of the accusations leveled against this board, some of the accusations. And I'd just like to give a real quick history lesson to those who might not be familiar about why we are incorporated. In 2005, Lisette, our former mayor, Dell, and Dan Fadden were very concerned about what was going on with development in Palm Bay, and very concerned about that the county had no longer demonstrated a sympathy for large lots, rural lifestyle, and incorporated areas. They were bound and determined to work hand in hand with Palm Bay to give Palm Bay access to everything from Babcock to 95, and the county was in bed with developers who wanted to develop everything. That's why we have Eagle Trace, that's why we have Crystal Bay. Those things were all started before we started the incorporation. But a committee was formed to look at what the best thing to do to protect ourselves was, and incorporation was the only answer. The incorporation effort involved 10 key committee members, but it also involved, 50 or 60 community volunteers who came to, we had 2 meetings a week at one point, if I'm not mistaken. It was completely transparent. I was the phone number for anybody who wanted to call and get real information and not lies that were being spread. The community itself wrote the charter, and the charter and the feasibility study passed the legislature on the first try, which is almost unheard of, and was a blessing because it caught the opponents flat-footed, because that meant that we were having a special election within a few months. That special election was 2-1 for incorporation, because they knew what Palm Bay was doing, they knew what the county was doing, and people who had the information wanted to protect it. We incorporated in 2006. Since that time, most of these people, and there's a couple of new ones now, which I'm glad to see because I was worried about everybody fossilizing up here. But these people are not paid. They do this for volunteers. And I'm going to tell you, when you come home from work and you've got an agenda you've got to look at and try to make sense of, and you're not a lawyer, and your eyes are rolling back in your head by the time you're halfway through some of these descriptions, and you're coming up with your arguments for and against and your questions, and you come to these meetings and you spend time in these meetings and you go to workshops when it's tax season, another reason for workshops. It takes a lot of your personal time, and these people are not getting compensated for that. And yet I hear there are accusations being thrown out that they are getting compensated, that they're being bribed, that they don't listen to the people, and that's a bunch of BS. What I saw here tonight were residents concerned about what was going on with those easements, and this council listened to it and changed their proposal, and are going to bring it back. I've heard Eel's problems, other problems. Let's have a workshop. I don't want to come to no damn workshop. I don't want to come to these meetings. Hey, this is a representative democracy. You elected these people to represent you. If you don't come to the meetings, if you don't come to the workshops, they don't know what the hell you want. So don't give me the crap about I'm too busy to come to the meetings. They're too busy to come to the meetings, but they're here every week and they're here for workshops. If you want this town to run the way you want to run, you come and you do what you did tonight. They will listen to you and they will take the appropriate actions. So I'm sorry, I just meant to come here to say goodbye. I didn't mean to get so fired up. But I will say I do enjoy the comedy relief that is being provided at these meetings. I'd like to thank them very much for that.
Okay, I think that's all all the blue cards, unless
Asshole.
anyone else has time to wander.
Guy doesn't even live here.
All right, the next thing on the agenda. Where's our buddy? Did they leave?
We have unfinished business first.
Okay. Oh, okay. Did our audit folks leave?
They're here.
Oh, where are they?
I think
Moving
they,
around.
yeah.
All right, some unfinished business, request for revision of fees, 3625 Lawrence Avenue. This item was tabled at the last meeting. Is he here?
Mr. Graham could not be here, so he did submit his phone records, and then he does have a letter he wants me to read before. Okay, this was received May 22nd of 2025. It says, please forgive me for not attending the meeting. I am driving to New Jersey for a funeral of my cousin. As I went through the phone records, I found that my last month record were 15 times and only 20 work days of the month. I hope that settles the question. I appreciate your time in this matter and hope to hear from you soon. I will be available by cell phone. And then it says, thank you, John Graham. You also have documents on the dais as well that was provided by the contractor, which he is here if you guys have questions.
All right, guys, does everyone remember what this is about? And we had requested some documentation because the gentleman said that he tried to get permits, whatever, he tried to get the information needed to complete the permit and he couldn't. So we were just needed some documentation as to that. And Mike,
Yes.
did you look at it? Did you look at the document? Did everybody look at the documentation that he provided?
Well, he provided it to the town. We did look at it. There is the number of communications he mentioned. Since then, we've also, the contractor has reached out to the town and would like a chance to speak.
Sure. Yes, where is he? There he is. Okay.
Sean Sleer, I'm here on behalf of the contractor. Thank you for your time. So just to make sure that everybody's aware, because this gentleman was not very kind to our company. So this gentleman purchased a building from our company. Now we only do buildings, we don't do site prep work or anything like that. He purchased a building specifically not pulling permits. Our company offers a permit ability. He did not want to buy that. He told us he was on ag and did not need any permits. He is made well aware of the situation. So Mr. Graham went ahead and had his dirt work done, his concrete done without permits, informed us that he was ready to proceed with his building. He was given a date of install and he paid for half of his building up front. He had said that we showed up and put his building up without him being aware of this. He paid for half of his building. He was given an exact date that the crew would be there to install his building. We installed his building, and then 2 or 3 days later, he was caught not having permits. He then refused to pay his remaining balance for the building. His engineering, when he finally contacted us that he needed engineering, he still had not paid his balance for his building. We prepared his engineering, but we would not give those to him until he paid the balance that he owed the company for his building. Once he paid that balance, he was given his engineering within 14 days. So, this gentleman came up here and presented himself like he was a victim, like we took advantage of him, like we showed up on his property and just put a building up. He put himself in this situation. So I have an issue with the fact that he slammed my company in front of the internet, in front of this gentleman that posted it, when he directed the entire project, including hiring multiple trades and having them come and do their work and telling them that they did not need permits because he was ag. So, and I provided all the multiple emails back and forth that we had with this gentleman about this, the fact that we actually had to put a lien on his property to get paid.
Oh, you had to put a lien?
Yes, correct. So that's the true nature of why it took him so long to get his engineering to proceed with you guys, was he didn't want to pay his bills. So that's pretty much just, yeah, he slammed my company in front of everybody, and I don't take kind to that, you know. He was given every opportunity to do everything that he should have done. So, I don't know if you guys have any questions for me, but.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You told him that he had to procure a building permit.
Correct. That's in our contract, that it's his responsibility if he does not hire us to do his permitting services, it's his responsibility. And he flat out told us that he was not pulling permits because he was ag, and he was not paying the town administration a goddamn thing. This is exactly. So.
Anyone else?
Any other questions for me?
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, so are we gonna consider this again tonight then? Is it back on?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the question is, do he owe, well, we fined him $2,200 because he was out of compliance for that many days. So we need to know, we need to decide whether to go ahead and fine him, or he's requesting that we rescind it, or we reduce it.
It's always important to get two sides of the story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely, always. Always find out the other side, because there's always another side.
So, I mean, from what the gentleman just told me, when he signed the contract, he was told that he had to procure building permits. He told him he wasn't going to do it. So as far as I'm concerned, he owes us $2,200, and that's what he owes.
I agree with Dan.
Yeah, it sounds like the gentleman said, he put himself in that situation by not pulling the permit and then by not paying for his
I think
building.
that's why I had a question to begin with, because it sounded, you know, that the fact it took so long for a professional company to get engineering plans back to him, 2 months or something like that, and it just, it was weird to me.
Right, well, if you looked at the dates, when he requested things from him, they usually got back to him real quick, except when he asked for the engineering, but then we didn't know it was because he hadn't paid. And now we know that it took him that long because he hadn't paid. So, yeah, I guess I'm agreeing with Dan. I don't see why.
I don't see any reason why we should.
We certainly can't, I wouldn't agree to rescind it because it's not, I mean, people, it'll set a precedent where people can, you know, come up here with a story and get away with it. I might, if you all think his story was, now that I heard the other side, I'm not sure, but I would have been in favor of, reducing it. But now I don't know. I'd like to hear from the rest of y'all.
Yeah, from my research on the emails, that he didn't even pay it till the 23rd of December, which is right before Christmas Eve. And then the gentleman offered, once it was paid, which we know you're going into Christmas and the New Year, so the end of the year, he's already hit his deadline without due diligence. But then when they requested an address immediately on the same time, I believe it was the 23rd, they also requested, where do you want this sent to, because it has to be signed, we need an accurate address. He didn't respond to them until January 15th on even giving an address. And at that time, they sent it out immediately, and it got there within the 14 days. So I don't see, I would not be in favor of rescinding under the situation. And he was a general contractor through the whole project.
He was the owner, builder, or whatever.
Yes.
Owner builder. He should have pulled his permits, and he was told to do it. And he didn't, well, first thing that annoys me is he poured concrete and everything without a permit. He did everything prior to the building going up, the prep work for the building to be erected without a permit. And then he put the building up without a permit, and he was told that he had the opportunity to have them apply the permits for him, and he refused. He said he didn't have to have a permit. As far as I'm concerned, he's at fault.
I concur.
Straightforward, I mean, yeah, he was forthcoming and for the board.
so the motion is to rescind, correct? Or the motion would be to rescind? So, right? You make a motion to rescind. We don't, try not to make negative motions, right? Or we can.
You can make a negative motion.
All right, I just need a motion which way you guys want to go.
Make a motion that it pays his bill.
No, that.
Not.
Make the motion
All right,
I'd like to
wait.
make a motion to not rescind.
not rescind the thing.
All right, I need a second.
Second.
All right, Mike and Dan. All those in favor of not rescinding the $2,200? Aye. Okay, all those opposed? Motion passes. Next. Okay, now. Thank you so much.
This one's a real stinker, this meeting.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Really sucks.
Not as exciting as the zoo or
She's
there's
so
no
down
right
there.
ways.
Are you talking about the Brevard Zoo or another zoo?
I don't know, we can get out of here.
I'm Brian Emroff. I'm partner with Berman Hopkins.
Oh, yeah, one
Right,
more
we did your annual audit, and you have it in front of you. It's a black bound copy. You really just need a vote. You're really just receiving it. I think on the agenda, it's a motion to accept it. Perhaps even maybe you want to approve it, but it kind of stands on its own. And I didn't really make a PowerPoint or anything. I'm just going to go over